Now we're working. Hey, what's up, Scott Balker here with Imagination Creation Films, and today it's December the 13th, 2024. And you know what that means, right? Yes, toast for breakfast. That's correct. It is a wonderful and fantastic day. We have a guest on today, which we haven't had in a while, and I'm so excited to do so because, that's kind of half the fun around here is just chatting with other filmmakers in the world and learning from them and just hearing a bunch of stories and all the good stuff. I need to start up the Instagram. That's going to be super helpful. They'll appreciate that. And we'll have a grand old time here on the channel. So let me see some housekeeping notes. Please feel free to ask questions as we go. If we're talking about something and you have a specific question about that, feel free to put it in there. I'm going to be monitoring the comments as we go, and if I can squeeze it in, if it makes sense, what have you, I will pop it up in there and we'll talk about it. If not, don't worry, I will get to it. I'm pretty good about not missing questions, so you don't have to repeat it over and over again. But we should have a wonderful and fun chat. And it would be a really good time to bring in our guest. Daniel Stilling is a director of photography and a very accomplished filmmaker. But you know who's better to introduce themselves? I think Daniel. Let's bring Daniel in. Well, hi, Daniel. How are you?
Hey.
Dan. It's just straight Dan, right?
Yeah, Dan is good. Dan works.
How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you
Excellent.
for inviting me for this.
Of course. We talked about it for a long time. It's been a couple of years. I think we've been talking about it. And I keep forgetting. It's definitely not you. Every time I'm like, oh, I forgot. So tell us a little bit about who you are, and we'll just kind of have a little fun from there.
Well, I'm today after like three different careers in my life. I'm a DP, or maybe more careers than that. It's hard to remember after my half century of life. But yeah, I'm a DP. I'm originally from Denmark. I've been around the world in a few places, and now I spend my time between U.S. and Europe, going back and forth wherever family and work takes me.
And are you primarily a DP, or do you do other things, or do what?
Before DP, I was a camera operator, Steadicam operator, but I hung the vest a few years back. I had a long transition where I was DPing stuff and I was doing Steadicam on the stuff I was DPing, but I decided to hang the vest, let the people that are better at that than me do it. So now, yeah,
People with strong backs that
actually, the back wasn't my problem. I had the Canadian back mounted vest, the
Mhm.
Classen, and that was fantastic. So the back wasn't the problem. It was a little bit the knees started not liking it too much because they were still
Interesting.
carrying all the weight, even that my back was saved with the special vest. My knees weren't super happy. So uh, yeah. I'm trying to remember the last time I did Steadicam. That was quite a few years back. It was probably a commercial or so, something like that. But yeah, nowadays is DP, purely DP.
That's cool. So you your age. Do you speak your age, or is it an unknown? I mean, I'm Santa Claus, so it's super easy to disclose my
I'm
934 years.
52.
I'm sorry,
52.
52. The
Yeah.
same age as me.
Oh, there you go.
No
The
wonder we're
best
such
age.
we conversate.
We're
So you
72 kids, huh?
exactly. All right, what's your birth month?
It's July.
Mine's January, so I'm
Oh,
older. You got to do what
oh
I
man, I
say.
gotta respect you now.
God, that never even worked in school either. So how long have you been in, not necessarily the industry, but in filmmaking in general, or creative kind of stuff?
Well, I've been creative in my whole life, but I did not start in filmmaking. Uh, when I was a kid, what I really wanted to do was to become a pilot. Actually,
Oh,
that's the thing I loved. I could hear an airplane overhead, and I knew what engines it had and where it was going because I knew what airline had that combination of plane and engine. I was really, really, really nerdy when it came to that. And today I'm nerdy with camera stuff, but uh, so I wanted to be a pilot. But at that point, I actually lived between Brazil and Denmark when I was a teenager. So I grew up a lot in Brazil, and it wasn't easy. Economically, it was really tough. It was back in the '80s when inflation there was ridiculous. It was like 1% a day.
right.
So they would you would go to the grocery store and you see people remarking the prices every day. You got your salary, you would go and try to either you
Run as
spend
fast as you can, right?
or you put it in the bank because if you held on to money, it would lose 1% a day. But so economically, it wasn't easy. My family didn't have the means to pay for my pilot education, so I kind of gave it up and I went to music instead. So yeah, in my
Well,
early
you
teenage
play.
years, I started learning to play the guitar.
Interesting.
So I became a musician very early. Had a couple of it was all in rock and metal. So
Is that all there was in the '80s, though? I mean, it
not in
was
Brazil,
really
dude.
good
No.
stuff. Yeah.
In Brazil, though, that was so much samba and all that stuff. But
Ah, yes.
so, but what was fun is that as the bands grew a little bit, we started doing concerts and tiny concerts. And I was always the one setting up the PA, setting up the little mixer, and doing that behind the scenes stuff, and doing the sound for us. Before we grew more, and then we had people to do that, but it was me in the beginning. So and where I was 16, 17 at that point, and then I got into a bigger band that tour all over Brazil. It was kind of a large metal band in Brazil, and I got offered a guitar player in that band, and that was fun. And so we recorded our. It was the band's second album. The first I was in, and I love the being in the studio and recording. I was watching the engineer like a hawk, and learning everything I could, and super enjoying it. And so later, I had to go there, and we would. I lived closest to the studio, and I made the monthly payments for the album we recorded. And I asked the guy, "Hey, do you need somebody to answer the phone or something like that? I would love to have a job here, just being close to this. This is super fun." I think I was 17, and he said, "Yeah, well, one day in a year or two, I want to retire. Maybe you should come over and look and see me record and do the stuff, and we'll see what happens down the road." So, well, great. Next week, I'll come. It was like 8 p.m. or something like that. There was a band that was going to start mixing their demo, and I got there. The band got there, and the guy wasn't showing up. Eventually, he called. He said, "Oh, I'm sick as a dog. Could you try to do it?" And I said, "Sure." And I mixed that demo tape for the band. They loved it, and after that, I got a job there, and I started being a
Guys, so
sound.
let's pause there for a second because
Yeah,
we got a couple things to touch on, and then we're going to dive in a little bit there because that's kind of
sure,
cool.
sure.
So we're born the same year. We
Yeah.
both we both in our youth had luxurious hair. Some of us kept it, some of us did not. We both
I
wanted to
spent a
become pilots.
long time of my adult life without long hair. It was just in 2015 I let it grow again.
I never had my hair. Only maybe here was as long as I ever went. I never understood. I would have done it as a youth if I understood what my hairdresser. My mom would take me to a hairdresser. What she actually meant when she said, "Oh my God, your hair's so light and fluffy." What that means is you're about to lose all your hair, which I did when I was like 20. I mean, I have a little. maybe. Well, there's four in
Yeah,
there.
there's some strands back there. I can count like at
That's just
least
views.
three,
It's like a Homer Simpson kind of thing.
at least three or
Uh,
four.
the both wanted to be a pilot. I was obsessed with planes,
That's
absolutely
awesome.
obsessed. I wanted to take it a little further. I wanted to go on Air Force, be a pilot, and then go to an astronaut. But yeah, neither here nor there. Um, both musicians. Interesting. I was
Wow.
drums and then shifted over to keyboards. Kind of play guitar. I am nothing on guitar, believe me. I got good friends
Only if
for
you
that.
were cooler, Scott. Only if you were cooler, you could do
I
guitar.
know, I know. I just don't have that ability. um, and then recording studio passions. That's where I settled because I always loved film. And I settled in music because I loved music and I wanted to open up a recording studio. So now that you're on that part, you mixed that album. What'd you mix it on? What were you? What kind of studio gear was that?
I'm trying to remember. It was just a couple of a couple of
Yeah, I mean,
or
we couldn't
more.
afford much back then, I'm sure.
It was I think it was all Tascam gear. I think it
Was it
was
reel to
like
reel,
a
or did you?
huh?
Was it reel to reel?
Yes, it was a half-inch
Eight
recorder in that
tracks.
studio,
Okay, 16
uh,
track.
16 track,
MSR
uh,
16.
uh,
Was it a
and
vertical or was it a horizontal?
no, it was vertical.
Okay, so MSR 16.
Yeah. Wow, I don't remember all this stuff, man. And it was like a 56 track mixer,
Oh
something
wow,
like that.
yeah,
And
big one. Yeah, nice.
yeah, a bunch of peripherals and reverbs and all that stuff. And but that half-inch recorder didn't last long. It was right at the cusp when ADATs came in.
ADATs.
Yeah,
Yep,
so
know it well.
I
Yep.
lived that transition, just like I lived the transition from film to digital. It
So
was the
did
same
you?
thing. It was analog to digital.
Yeah, basically, did you
Yep.
transition from musician to recording, or did you just enjoyed doing both?
It was both. I love the musician is what I loved, and my day job was a sound engineer. But it was fun too. I mean, it was a nice, cool job. It wasn't a 9 to 5. I worked 12 hours every day. It was 2 sessions of 6 hours I would do every day,
Right, right.
and I did a mix master. I learned Pro Tools after that, so I could
Yep,
master some
yep.
stuff, and I ended up getting recording a couple of gold albums and I think a platinum album in Brazil.
Wow.
So that
So,
that yeah.
so you're way better than I am then. I barely exist in the music world. What kind of guitar do you like? What kind do you like to play?
I'm partial to Jackson and Charvel.
Yeah,
I have a
interesting.
few hanging in my wall downstairs.
I play a little guitar. I'm just not that good at it. I do like the Les Pauls, but I don't like the weight.
Yeah,
And
they got to be a pointy headstock. There's no way, no way
my
around.
favorite now is PRS. I really the Paul Reed
Yeah,
Smith.
those
I
are
think
fantastic. But
they.
I had an was it an '82 Charvel blue that was amazing. I loved it. It got stolen uh,
Ooh,
out of the studio. They broke into the studio. All they stole was the guitar, a couple of toms from the drum set for some reason,
mm,
and a
that's all they
microphone.
could grab. I guess they didn't want to haul a bass drum running down the road.
Yeah, they grabbed that and left. So my guitar was gone, which was really sad. But
Oh, that's
years and
horrible.
years later, I found one on eBay that was pretty much the same thing, and
And
I
you
got
bought it
that,
back. Yep,
and
you got to
I
do
have
that.
that
It's
today, and that was back in I don't know 2002 that I bought that. So over 20
right.
years ago, I bought my guitar back. Not the exact guitar, but it's a good substitute.
I remember doing kind of the similar kind of thing, but you when you're young, you don't really have much money, and you want this and you want that. You get this catalog, and you want to see all that stuff, and then at some point in your life, you get to a point where you have some money, and you're like, it's time for me to own all that stuff that I wanted.
Yeah, back
That's
then it was like, oh, one guitar was so hard, and now, yeah, well,
yeah, 20,
it's nice
30,
being
yeah.
able to do that. So yeah,
What do
that
you
was.
what do you
No, go ahead.
what do you think of the clone guitars that are out there? Have you followed much of them. Not the ones that are pretending to be like a Gibson or anything like that, but the ones that are built like them and they're just they're Chinese clones, but they're kind of okay. They're not bad.
It's gotten so much easier to make good instruments with all the CAD design, and everything is
Yeah,
made in machines and very precise. It's not They're not handmade anymore like they used to. So it an instrument is really not that complicated to make. So
it's
once you
true.
get it down, it's the materials, is how you put it together, I guess. But yeah, I don't have much contact with it, so I couldn't tell you. I
Yeah,
don't I,
yeah.
I don't
Do
know.
do you play now at all much or?
Well, during COVID, I didn't have any outlet for my artistic side,
Creative? Yep.
and I hadn't had a contact with the studio side of things in like 20 years. And when I discovered that you can have a whole recording studio on your laptop and a drummer, I was like, "Whoa, what is this? This is amazing!" And you have all the amps, all the effects for your guitar in your laptop. Not exactly the same thing, but very, very close. I ended up recording. I wrote and recorded a whole album, and I got old friends and some new people to sing on it because I can sing to
Right.
save my life.
I,
I can play all the instruments. I can play the bass. I can. The drums were sequenced, but I went in and then changed the bass drum so the hit is just correct with the guitar riffs. So I can do all that, but I can't sing to save my life. So I
Another
had.
one of our shared or lack thereof talents. I can't sing either. So what kind of guitar playing do you do, or do you like lead, or you rhythm? What kind of blues?
I,
What kind of? I know it's
I've
rock. You said,
Well,
but
it's rock metal. That's what I do. Yeah, and I do lead, but I feel like I'm so rusty that I can put out some good riffs, but my leads are not as good as they used to be.
were you rather fast in your youth? Really bring on the fretboard there? Or?
I was never the fastest. No, no. I would look up to these guys that are
Stevie.
Satriani and Steve Vai and
Oh, Steve Vai. You gotta
yeah,
love
those guys. They're just
Satriani.
incredible. I could never do that, so I wasn't that good. But I was pretty good for the style we were in.
I uh, uh, I grew up or went to high school with a guitarist. He was by far the most talented in all of our schools and anywhere in the area. He could listen to a song, doesn't matter, Steve Vai, Satriani, he could play it back instantly. And the
Wow,
weird thing about him, he was missing his pinky. He was just born without it on his fret finger. He could
wow,
play anything with the three fingers that I need freaking 12 to play, but
exactly. I
I mean,
couldn't do it with 12 the way they do it.
the dude was just unbelievable. He was so fast. He was just like, what in the world? He ended up going to Montgomery Gentry, the country band, and toured with them. That was a total part from speed metal, but country.
Oh, it works, and it probably pays the bills very well. So,
Uh,
and what happened when I was in music, bands started asking me to take still pictures of them, and I was like, sure, why not? And I started in the studio, while they're recording, I'll snap some shots, and obviously it was in the day of film. There was no digital back in the 90s, and then I started going to concerts and shooting pictures in concerts, and that was really hard. As I'm learning, film was slow,
low light and
low light, slow film. It was very tough. I remember once Metallica came to Sao Paulo, Brazil, first time, and I got to because through uh, um, uh, the Danish club that exists, I got a pass to be in front of everybody with the photographer. So I took some pictures. I didn't have an outlet; it was just for me, so I couldn't get a press pass. But I got to go in because of Lars Ulrich, the drummer of Metallica, is Danish. So
yep, yep.
the Danish club in Sao Paulo contacted them, and I got to be in there, and I got to meet them and talk to them. That was back in, it was 91, I think it was. And I snapped some pictures of them, and they're absolutely terrible. I was learning, my camera wasn't the best, and it's just tough. I was like, oh my god, I didn't get a
Were
single
you
picture.
were you developing any of your film, or were you just taking it to get it
No,
developed?
just taking to the overnight places.
Did you shoot color or black and white or what?
No, I started color.
Color?
Yeah, I wasn't super adventurous. I was just trying to figure it out myself how that stuff works. It was almost like voodoo.
Yeah, pretty much. And now it's like it's a whole different voodoo today. Is it? So, music, film photography, but you're not very good at it. You say what happens from there? What are you just like? You know what? I'm just gonna sell pizza. What
No, I got better. With the pictures. It got better and better, and I took a lot of live pictures of people. Although I don't have a single one to tell the story. I gave
Interesting.
them
Oh,
all
you
to the bands and all that stuff, and I ended up with nothing because to make copies you had to take the negatives, and I gave
Yep.
it to them and that kind of stuff. So I don't have a single picture, but I got pretty decent at it.
How do you attribute getting better at taking pictures? I mean,
Trial by error.
the way the way I describe it to people is there's like rule of thirds. There's a third of the people can just walk up to somebody and go one picture, and it's the most gorgeous picture on the planet. Then there's a third that are like, and then they take like 10 or 15 pictures and they get a couple of good ones. And there's like a third that just really is just like anywhere and everywhere. And obviously you can't be the bottom third, but I mean, are you the kind that could just like walk up and start to see what you want to do, exactly what you want to do, and then take the picture, or do you work at it?
Now we're talking still pictures from
Yeah,
back
yeah,
in the day.
but it does translate because it's your
Well,
method.
absolutely does, but I feel, for me at least, experience is everything.
So repetition just really helped you.
Repetition and power of observation and self critic too, because you got to look at stuff and go, this works, this doesn't work, this could work if I did this and that. You got to be able to observe and change the tactics that weren't working. So it's basically I would remember, okay, this picture, what was the speed of the film, and what was the settings of the cameras. I kind of remember was this. Yeah, that worked really well, but it could be even better this and this way. Just observing and trying next time. Yeah, that actually did work. So I ended up never going to film school. I'm self-taught at everything. I was self-taught
Mhm.
at not at playing guitar. I did have a teacher who
Lessons. Yeah.
instructed me with guitar, but in sound engineering world, I learned by observing and asking the right questions and that kind of stuff. And the same with Steadicam. I started learning myself. I got a good friend of mine, today a good friend of mine, but back then I didn't know him, Michael Kern, excellent Steadicam operator. I was working at that point for a small TV station in Denmark, and I got them to buy a knockoff Steadicam, and I really wanted to learn, so they hired him for a day to come and teach me in the studio, and that was super great. And then later, I think it was in the year 2000, we went down to Italy, both me and Michael, and we went to a Steadicam workshop taught by Garrett Brown, who invented the Steadicam. Fantastic person. And we were 40 students, 10 instructors, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing experience. I loved it. And the cool thing with that workshop was the last day, you have a Grand Prix. They call it Grand Prix shots. Garrett sets up this oneer that's really complicated. Go around into the bathrooms. There's mirrors, and go back, go to a table, and then there's a little bit of dialogue, and then somebody moves. Really, really hard Steadicam shot for veterans. let alone people that were just going for the workshop. So he would design the shot. We all saw it, and then we would do it one by one. Garrett would go around with a little camcorder and film us doing it, and then later he would play two TV screens, one with the
And then
shot we're
critique
doing,
it.
and one with what he shot of us, so he can. Oh, you see here where your frame messed
Yep,
up
that's good.
because you're
Yep.
standing weird, right? So he had criticism of everybody, and when it came time to me to see my shot, the only thing he said, well, the only thing I can say about you is that your socks are ugly. He said you did pretty good with the shot. So that was,
It's
I
my
mean,
superpower.
that's what made the shot good. It was my socks.
So Steadicam, you started about 2000. How did you go from film photography into Steadicam? What made
Yeah,
you?
that's an interesting story because I had moved at that point back to Denmark full time, and in Denmark you still have a draft. You still have to go to the military. And no matter how, if you're out of Denmark when you go back, no matter how old you are, and I was in my
You
20s,
still have to do that.
you have to do
Interesting.
it. And I'm a pacifist. I did not want to do it, but and I had when I moved from Brazil, I kind of gave up the audio part temporarily because
Hmm.
Denmark is a small country. It was really hard to find jobs as a sound engineer. So I got actually a job at what today would be a FedEx Kinko's. I was in the graphic design department, so dealing with computers, with designs, printing out things, and it was a good job, well paid. I was happy with that, although not a super outlet for artistic visions. But I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, right? So I get the letter from the military. I go and have to enlist, and you do a whole battery of tests throughout the day, and you do an exam and go to the doctor. And I try to bullshit my way into saying, "Oh yeah, I have backaches and headaches, and I'm
They're like, sure you
nothing."
do.
And he was like, "Yeah, whatever, you're good." and
Oh, we got places for you.
we got things for you. No, don't worry about that. So, and it's very interesting. The last thing you do is that you go into a room, this giant room, big table in the middle, military people standing in the corners, like guarding it, and then there's one person in the middle. It looks like a movie thing that you say, "Oh, nobody would do it that way," and it really happens in reality. Big glass bowl with numbers that are rolled up, so it's like a lottery.
Hmm.
So you take a number from zero. What was it? From 0 to 4,000, you're in. From 4 to 6,000, you may be in, and from 6 to 60,000 is a huge number. You're out. So
That's
chances
a lot
are
of paper in a bowl.
it's a lot. They were really, and it was a giant bowl, so 60,000 pieces of paper, I guess. Uh,
Wow.
it might not have been quite that many, but I remember the odds were really, really tiny that you would get taken. Right, my number was like 300 and something. So, yeah, I know.
Surprise!
Surprise, you're in. And being a pacifist, I was crushed. I had to leave my job to do this, but by law they couldn't fire me. I had to have my job back when I was done. But it was a huge pay cut, because
Yeah.
I don't remember how much it was, but it was a lot less than what I was making. And it was 6 months of stopping my life doing this military thing. Then I find out that you can do a thing called deny the military, which is you write in a letter saying it goes against my convictions, which is it does. I don't want to serve yada yada yada. They say fine, you serve the 6 months, being like an intern or working for a company that we have attachments to.
Okay.
So. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to be sweeping the highway or something, which is fine.
Peeling potatoes.
Whatever it needed to be, I was fine with it. But in the beginning, you go in and you go to a meeting. It's like a 2-day meeting in a military installation, and you find out that you can actually go to 3 places and choose one of them. And then I find out there was uh, lighting company, lighting rental company in Copenhagen. There was a concert place, and there was a small TV station. I said, "Well, that's great. I can go see if I can do something that I used to." So initially, I wanted the concert place because I wanted to be the sound engineer. I
Right,
went
right.
there, and they said, "Well, all bands bring their own sound engineer." Yeah, you should know that. I didn't know that. And uh, you're most likely going to be hanging the coats in the coat rack when people come in and cleaning the bathrooms when the concert is done. I was
You're
like,
like,
oh, that
no.
doesn't sound like what I had envisioned.
It's
And
romantic.
then there was a lighting a rental place that I knew nothing back then about lighting, so I was like, oh, this is I'm completely out of my depth. And then there was a small TV station. I went there; they were fantastic, and they're like, "Can I do some audio?" "Oh yeah, please. Whatever you need to do, whatever you want to do, you're welcome to do it." And I chose them, and that was amazing. That's how I started in this business after the sound and music stuff. And but I remember first job out, it was an interview. I was used to 56 tracks of stuff, right? And I get there, it's a 4 channel mixer and one person. So I had, and I didn't even have a lav. It was just a boom, and it was just okay. Volume here. I guess I'm done. I was like, ah, this is boring. What about? I like doing photography. Can I borrow this camera for a week and try to figure it out? They said yes, take it. It was like a DV cam
Hmm?
broadcast camera,
Right.
and I took it and started shooting with it, and I loved it, and then it started.
What kind of projects were you trying to do with that DV cam? What were you like? Okay, I've got a camera. What did you immediately say? I got to do this, or I got to.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was more going with the flow, what they had, and it was other internal stuff. But we did end up doing a really cool documentary about history of a lot of the buildings in Copenhagen. That was kind of cool, and I was just learning by doing it. How do I light this? It's dark in here. What do I do? And then I started watching other things, just say, oh, okay, they did it this way. Okay, I look this way. How do I accomplish that? And I started learning by watching other things, but I had no idea in the beginning. But uh, then I also worked freelancer for like DR1, which is like the NBC of Denmark. I worked in their news part, and that was still beta cams, and
Mm-hmm.
you were a one-man band, so I learned to deal with audio for video, and with the beta cams and going out, and then I also learned how to edit, but it was tape to tape edit.
Oh boy.
The Sony machines where
Yep.
you two beta cams, you have your original and the clean one,
Yep. Put in
and
tape 4.
yeah,
Fast
and you
forward
have
to
to
the.
record clip by clip by clip by clip. And if you mess up
Mm-hmm.
a clip here in the beginning, you have to start over again.
Yep.
And 2 tracks for audio, one for just background sounds, and one for the voiceover. And I got actually really good at it at some point. That every time there was a last second thing that was gonna be done right before the broadcast, the journalists would come out to a room where technicians were sitting. I was one of
Yep.
them. They would end up choosing me to go do that quick one. Okay, let's go. And I would drive fast. I was driving the van too, and they would be writing what they were gonna say as we were getting there, and then shoot it real quick. The interview, blah 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 blah. Back to the station, do the editing. I remember this one time, literally, I delivered the tape like 20 seconds before it had to go to air, and it's still they have to put it in, and it takes 5 seconds for it to spool out and all that stuff. They were getting
What
nervous,
what
but I
what year
got
was this?
that was end of '90s. like 98, 99, somewhere in there.
I just want. I find it funny because we're paralleling our life here so much. I did
Really?
IT. Yeah, when I couldn't do what I wanted to do, I just did computer work in the late '90s, like '99, 2000s was right before 2000. We were doing really well. Wife and I were doing well. I said I want to take a pay cut, and I want to advance towards the film stuff. So I want to work television, and there was a job in television. So what you did is basically what I did. I joined
Hysterical.
ABC. I I was the guy that would we were taking beta and we were converting over to digital at that point. And so
Yeah, I
I
did get
was
to do a couple of things with digibetas. Yeah, it was a
yeah, I was
nice camera.
doing the HD and the IT work that kind of helped it get all over to digital, which is wild. But it's so funny. Everything you're saying, I'm like,
That's funny. That's really cool.
So how long were you at the television station?
Uh, Not super long, just a year or two, and then in that TV station is where I got to convince them to buy this knockoff Steadicam that I found in Sweden. It was a glide cam,
Right.
and
Yep.
they sent it over, and I heavily modified it. I drill holes so the cabling could go in the middle of that tiny little center post, and then I started doing live shows and stuff like that with it, and it was so much fun. That's when I went to the workshop in Italy, but I started doing a lot of Steadicam with that.
Was that all on beta cams and such at that point? No
At
film
that
or
TV station, it was mostly the DV cam cameras, but kind of the same. It's the same form factor.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Did you at what point did you go to film or get to operate for film on Steadicam or
So what happened was I after a couple of years that I did that, I felt comfortable enough to offer my services as a Steadicam operator in the freelance community. Denmark is a small place, so if you mess up, everybody will know, and then you're kind of
yeah.
in trouble. You never get work again, or it will be an uphill battle. So I was making sure that I knew at least a little bit of what I was talking about and how to do it. So then I got hired to do this short, and it was an SR3, I think, or
Mhm.
SR2. I don't know which one it was. And first time I had a film camera on my Steadicam on the glide cam, and I was super nervous.
Of
And
course.
but, and we were rehearsing the scene, and it was a oneer, super complicated oneer, chilled down all the way to the
Wow, really,
ground,
really just break you in here.
going around. Yeah, it was trial by fire. And what I was not prepared for was the moment the camera rolled, then you get that flicker in the monitor that you don't get in when you just have the video chat going.
Right.
It's the same as looking through a beta cam, 30 frames or 60i back then. And but the moment that here 25 frames, right, the flicker came through, I was like, whoa, I got so distracted. It's like I'm watching a movie now. Just the motion blur, that flicker that was in the mod,
Hmm.
and then that was it was kind of magical. I remember that feeling. It's like, whoa, this is a film for real. It's not this shit video that I'm doing. Now it's film. And I remember the shot when we did 2 or 3 takes, and it was perfect. It was super cool. I love the shot. And after that, I was like, "This is for me. This is really cool."
If you have like any photos or anything from back then that at any point wherever we get to, just say, "Hey, I've got something from
Yeah,
that." That
yeah,
way we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
just like gloss over it. I have a prop that I need to burn. Do you mind if I burn that
No,
prop
go
while we're
for it.
talking?
Go
I'm gonna
for it.
turn my fan up
Yeah,
real quick.
no.
So
Unfortunately, back then I didn't really have anybody to take pictures of that, and it was
got
not
you.
easy with a phone like we do today. So I
Sure.
really
Yeah.
wanted documentation from that. I separated here some pictures of my early career, but that was I think it was all digital at that point.
We can work our way towards that way.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what
Hope I'm not
what
boring the people after that.
No, not at all. I think it's totally interesting. Y'all let us know in the comments if it's interesting. I always Apparently can't open it. I always feel like people like to understand. I know I do. I like to understand who the person is, that what built that person into what they are.
Hmm. No,
Which now I have hope for myself that if you can do all of this and I'm paralleling you, it's going to happen for me.
oh man, I just Forrest Gump my way through it.
It's funny you said that. um, so what? From there, you're doing Steadicam, and how long are you doing Steadicam for? What was your career of Steadicam like?
So in Denmark wasn't very long. So what happened was uh, I got. I don't know how. To this day, I don't know exactly how the connection happened, but somebody that knew me, that knew them. It was a movie in the U.S. that needed a Steadicam operator, but it was of course, a low budget, no pay kind of thing. But they invited me if I wanted to come. They would send me a ticket, and I could come and operate Steadicam and be an operator on the movie. And I was like, heck yeah,
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying no to that.
I would love to see what that is all about and how it is over in the U.S. That's the place you be when it comes to that stuff. Absolutely. So I ended up going, and it was interesting because I just had two carts with cases up to here in the airport. I didn't even think about carnet or anything like that. I didn't know better. Today I do, but then I didn't, and I just put everything, paid all the extra baggage fees. I think they ended up paying for it, but I don't remember exactly. But
They were like, "How much is this? What?"
but I flew in, and then I was expecting somebody to hold a sign with my name, and I walked. That was in Newark, and I walk out in the arrival hall, and nobody. And it was back then. Cell phones had just started 2001 in March 2001. Cell phones had just started, and my cell phone from Denmark certainly not work in the U.S. And because it was GSM,
Right,
that was
right.
back then. So I
We weren't quite a world yet.
not at all. So I got there and I just sat down in that hall and what am I gonna do? I don't have money to buy a ticket to go home tonight. What am I gonna do? I sat there for 45 minutes wondering, and then the producer strolls in and recognizes a guy with cases to here and goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm sorry I'm late." And inside, I'm mad at the guy that let me have all these thoughts in my head. And today we're best friends. So that's
It'd be interesting to hear his side of that story. What actually happened? This
I
guy
know
comes up. He's got cases to hear.
it was something mundane. It was just busy with prep for the movie, and he just got late. That kind of stuff. I'm sure if I ask him today, he won't remember. Won't even remember that he was late.
Or
But
maybe he does.
maybe he does. Only one way to find out. But
Indeed.
then I worked on this movie, and we shot in New York, in New Jersey, in Hoboken, New Jersey, and
Hoboken,
then
yeah.
then in California. We shot down in Santa Ana. We shot a couple places in LA. We went up to Sacramento, so I got to see a lot, and I really loved it. I was so in love with the
Was
country,
that
and
your first time in U.S. or was it?
I had been to California to Disney when I was 12 or something like that, and I
That's not
remember
the U.S.
liking
That's
it too.
Disney.
Yeah. I know, no, but we drove
That's
up
a
and down the
totally different world.
405. We drove the
Some
405,
nice
and
talk there. I mean, come on.
so I just had such a good time that when I got back to Denmark, I decided I'm moving over there. Then I put my condo on the market, and before that, I had gone to LA once. Uh, in the interim before this movie, but after I started with a glide cam, I went and bought my first Steadicam rig in LA.
Mm,
And I remember to this day, it cost me $18,000. It
yeah.
was a used Model 3, which back then there was only the Master Series. That was one after that, so it was fairly it was an okay rig, and that had a postage stamp of a monitor. It was like a 3-inch monitor, and with the cameras, it was way down there. You could barely see the picture, and green, of course. And it was from a guy called Michael Menardis, and he was operator on a ton of big movies. One of them being White Men Can Jump.
Yep.
He used that rig on that movie. Super nice guy. I stayed at his house, and he gave me a complete tour of LA, and got to go different places. It was super cool. So that was the rig that I had taken back to Denmark, and I flew over with for this movie, the Model 3. And so shortly after that, I did go to the US
What year was that you moved?
in 01, 2001.
So then it was on. Now you're in the great America, and jobs will just be pouring at you now.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be
you're,
standing off
you're
from
saying
jobs.
no
Oh,
left and
stop
right,
calling me.
and
Stop calling me. Too many jobs. Huh? Yeah, right. No, what happened is that I spent about a year helping out those guys with the movie. I did a little sound editing. I did a little editing. I did a
and you were
bunch of
based where at that point in New York
in
or
LA.
L.A. or
In LA.
L.A.
With the producer lives in Hollywood. I still have a room at his place that I rent. So I spent about a year helping finish the movie, and so I didn't really have any work, but I had sold my condo, so I had a little bag of money that I could live
Little
for,
get there, yeah, little
yeah,
little
for
hold on to.
that year, and then slowly. Back then, we had a Steadicam forum, which was amazing. Meeting all the operators, we would have meetups every once in a while, and they were super great, and they would send jobs my way, and when they couldn't do it. So I started getting work that way, and then my big break into Steadicam world was when Rich Davis, amazing operator, called me to help him out on Scrubs. He was operator on Scrubs. Uh, so I got into be B camera operator, and then second unit Steadicam operator, and started there. And it was such an incredible experience. That was to this day to me was one of the best sets I've ever been on. They
And
were.
how much were you working on Scrubs? Was it that,
I ended up
that
working a lot. I was a day player, but I worked at least 3 or 4 days a week, every week.
nice?
It ended up being a lot of it. They were 5-day episodes. They had a lot of stuff to shoot. That was almost a second unit full time. And then a few episodes, Rich would bump up to DP because the DP would bump up to director. Then I became a camera operator, Steadicam, on those episodes. And I learned so much doing that show, how things are really done and really done in the right way. Uh,
It's
and seeing, observing everybody from stuff I didn't know very well, how
mhm.
grips and electrics do their job. I just learned. That was my film school in LA.
Yeah, and it's a good film school. I mean, it's stressful, but yeah, I mean, I always say any day on set for me, I don't care what position it is. I'm learning something. I'm watching somebody different. It's always worth it.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I was so nervous. I mean, this guy coming from Europe doesn't know anybody, not a lot of people there, and fairly new in the business. I had a few years now on my back, but I didn't have that much experience, not as much as I thought I had, and it, it's a matter of asking the right questions at the right time and shutting up for most of it, listening and paying attention.
Being willing to do more than expected and saying less than expected.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
Scrubs was an incredible experience. I have so much fondness for that crew and that time of my life. It was incredible. It
were,
was
they,
really,
were were they shooting on film or were they
yeah. It
digital?
was on
Yeah,
Aton 16.
Oh, nice. So not too
Yeah.
heavy. Not.
No, for Steadicam wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. And
So, how long were you working on that? And then,
around 2 seasons, what was it, 5 and 6? I think it was. I think I think it was 5 and 6. I think 7 was the last one they did at that location that we were, and then they
hmm
had season 8. I think it was. I could be wrong, but uh, then I think 8 was they moved to Culver Studios, and it was kind of a different show at that point, and it got canceled. I think 7 was the last one, but I did 5 and 6, and then I after that I had my good friend Denise that passed away a few years back. Amazing Steadicam operator. He passed on a job that he didn't want to do, was Criminal Minds. So I got into Criminal Minds for about 2 seasons as well. That one wasn't as good of an experience. That was a little more pressure on that, and I don't want to go too much into it, but there were some members of the crew that were quite unpleasant, and made
it
it quite
happens. Yeah.
different. It was a stunning contrast on how good things could be on Scrubs and how bad things could be on Criminal Minds.
But being honest, though, it's good that it was in that order because had it been reversed,
True.
you might not have ever wanted to go further.
Very true. Very true.
It
Because I
you at
knew
least got to
how
see
good it could
the
be.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I longed for that when I was doing that, and at that point, my wife, I got married by then, and my wife was pregnant, so we needed the income. So I did go through a lot of
Sure.
things
Yeah. You do
because
what you
of
got to
that
do. Yeah.
necessity, So it was quite tough, but I learned, but at the same time, I learned a lot on that set, but the opposite: what not to do, how not to treat people, how not to behave.
That's, yep.
And also to uh, um, learn to identify when things are going in the wrong direction and when to say no and jump off. I promised myself after that, when I quit that show, that if it ever happened something similar, I would quit immediately. And thankfully, I only had to do it once. So it has been a good run.
And so on Criminal Minds, were you camera operating or were
Yeah,
you
I was
steady
camera
camera?
steady cam. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and a second unit DP at times as well.
So where do you go from here? What's you quit that show and you're like, I have a bad taste now. What?
Well, at the same time, I quit right as the writer's strikes in 2007 started. So the prospect for work was really minimal. It was not looking good. It was really scary time. Newborn, and no, and my wife wasn't working at that point because of the newborn, and
Stress.
sole income, and I wasn't having any. So we actually decided then that we would move to Florida, which we did. And we ended up moving to Orlando, and that was a great move. I didn't know at the time it was gonna be. I We knew that there was a history of production in Orlando. There are the parks there. There's the studios. They had stages and all that stuff, and the was almost pretty much hoping for the best. We were looking for lower cost of living.
Living. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, if and I will do any production. I'll shoot weddings. I'll do anything. I
Yep.
don't
Got
mind.
to do what you got to do to put food on the
And
table and
but
keep the kid
soon
protected.
after, the community in Orlando was amazing. They had their arms open, and
It's
they
not a very big community though, right?
it's
Orlando's
not
very
huge.
small.
It's not
Yeah.
tiny, but it's not huge. And I still, to this day, I still meet new people, which I'm surprised about, because now it's been a decade and a half at least, and I still meet new people. But but it's not huge. And I started getting work as a Steadicam operator, and then very soon I learned that I had to shoot as well. If I didn't do that, the opportunities were not a lot of them. There was not a lot of work for Steadicam, and there were a few operators in the area. Um, so I having experience having shot stuff. I did um, uh, back in the day shoot some commercials in LA, and that was my first experience myself DPing film. We shot in 35. It was a big-ish commercial for a company from Texas, Palais Royal, I think they're
Oh,
called.
Palais Royal. I know them.
Yeah, I did a few of their commercials, and it was big, two big units, and that was the first time I was in charge of a big unit that had its own giant grip truck, its own giant lighting truck, and cameras and everything. We had two 435s and countless mags and everything. Lenses. We use Cooks, and it is a few years ago, so I don't remember exactly the gear list, but I was nervous. I remember first time with my brand new light meter going out and measuring. I was so nervous that I didn't want to go to see dailies afterwards, because if I miss expose things, I didn't want to be there and see firsthand. But they always turn out great. All the commercials, and they were super happy with my work, and I was excited that it did work out. Um, so so those were my first experiences DPing, was doing film and then doing second unit on these other shows that I was doing. So I started getting more and more confident in doing DP, but my main work was camera Steadicam operating. But moving to Florida, I had to really jump into the DP world way more to guarantee work, and I got a lot. I ended up getting a lot of commercial clients, and every once in a while, we'll fly back to LA and do some Steadicam work on movies. I did a few movies in Northern California near Sacramento. Uh, so I already then I would go back and forth a lot between Florida and LA. So today I have a lot of feature TV clients still in LA. I have my commercial clients in Florida that go there all the time to shoot commercials. So that opened up both markets for me. So now I have both, which is a great way to
So
do
now
it.
you could do dry and hot and wet and hot. Humidity.
Wet and even hotter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it really adds up. So this is what year at this point? This is 2008, 2000.
It was, yeah, it started in 8, but it was really solidifying after 2010, when I was really got in the world over there. I remember 2015 was the year that I did so much work. I traveled all over the world I did a bunch of films for Smuckers, for a production company in Florida, and it was great. It was they wanted to do films to show clients in their uh, um, home office. They made a whole theater just for that, and it was the weirdest aspect ratio ever. They ended up doing 4 projectors, linked side by side, and the aspect ratio was 4.5 to 1. So it was extreme widescreen. It was
Very,
like
very,
taking
very wide.
239 to 1
Yeah.
side by side. And I shot a ton of material all over the world for them with that aspect ratio. And
And when you say Smuckers, are you talking about the jelly company or is it a different?
no, it's them, but they own they
What?
own so
How?
many companies. You have no idea.
Okay, okay. So it was not. It was not the super wide version of jam. It was.
And then
It's like
one film was
it's the
Strawberry
most epic
Jam.
jam ever.
One film was Strawberry Jam, but they own Dunkin' Donuts coffee. uh,
Oh, okay,
Pillsbury
okay, okay,
cake mixes or whatever it is. They own a
okay. Now it
ton of.
starts to make sense. Okay,
So we did a little bit of
Big
everything.
Smuckers is the
Yeah,
big
yeah,
jam.
yeah, yeah. So 14, 15, I did a ton of that. That 14, end of 14 is when The Martian happened and opened a bunch of doors, and so
What
it really
what
started
was the
happening.
what was the first thing that you did that you really felt like this is what I want to do. This is what I like, and this opportunity is so scary, but I'm doing it. What
Oh,
was
that was
that first one?
Scrubs. That was back in
Scrubs?
Scrubs.
Oh, so way back.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I knew it back then that this was it.
it was happening. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This was amazing. Hmm. But one thing that cool that happened when I had just moved to LA, my first birthday there, my friends gave me an intro flight as a gift. So your first flight lesson as a gift, and they had no idea that I had a past of loving airplanes and that kind of stuff. They didn't know, and I got hooked with that. And
Cessna 172 or 152? Would you fly in?
I did fly 172 and 152. I flew Pipers. I flew a bunch of planes. But yeah, I got my license in
Oh,
2003
nice,
uh,
nice.
when that happened. It was awesome.
So, what time frame does your first BTS and stuff start at, so we can
My
get
first
towards
what?
that? I want to your first BTS, your first stuff that you have to show. That
Okay. Well, let me
I
let me
mean, we don't have
see.
to jump to it unless it's in the timeline. I just
Well, I
want to.
have I have a folder here that has a little bit of mixed, and they kind of in
Yeah,
time order. And we can go through it, and I can comment a little bit on
yeah, we
each.
can. I mean,
Work.
I don't want to skip over anything, but if you have stuff, I don't want to just have a conversation where we're missing out on
Oh, of
what you
course.
have to talk about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let me find it here. Uh, yeah, I have a work folder, and
Everybody in the chat's like, "Oh yeah, now we're going to see some stuff."
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. There's some interesting stuff here. I'll go over it. Let me know when you have
uh,
it there. I can't see it
I've
now.
got it. I can put it up whenever you're ready.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's see if well. All right, we're gonna. We already played this game once, and that's not it. We're going to take
I
this
know.
one and put this over here. There we go. Now we're
so,
talking.
so this is actually one of the first jobs I did when I moved to LA, and the guy that hired me, and it wasn't really hired because it was we were helping the Special Olympics, and it was Bill Totolo, DP today, and we donated our time to shoot stuff for the Special Olympics, and it was my first thing shooting in the U.S. with my Steadicam, and you can see here my old Model 2 modified arm, and that was an SR3, I think, camera on the rig, and I was like 1,000 pounds lighter, and I looked like a and he- this was just before I got my license. It's a movie I did in Costa Rica, and with my Steadicam here as well. I had already some new parts. This is a 535, which was a heavy beast to do. But then again, I was
In
young.
Costa Rica, where it's hot and humid as well, so you're.
Exactly, it was nice and hot and humid. Uh, I did a little stint in New Mexico. This is where this is, and interesting. A friend of mine that I met at the flight school, another DP, we met at the flight school. He invited me to come do camera operating Steadicam on this movie. It was called Mojave. They changed it to Death Valley, I think it is. It's like a horror-ish movie, and it was on this set that I met my wife. And here's a.
What was she? Was she in film or was she
She was
just?
the medic. Yes, she was the
Oh,
medic.
nice.
Yeah. This is the
So
the,
you
the
were like, oh my, I cut myself again. Oh no, I.
it was December in New Mexico, and stupid European like I was, I thought, oh, New Mexico desert is warm, doesn't matter. December, right? oh my God, I was so cold. I had no
Surprise!
clothes, and she had to treat me for hypothermia at some
Oh
point.
no! Wow.
Yeah, it was terrible. I was such an idiot. But then I got a wife out of the deal, which worked out.
That's awesome.
So here's a movie cam that we use with the old bar check, follow focus, and the horizontal motors that we had back then.
Hmm.
This is also still in New Mexico with a movie cam. You can see on the mag it says Mojave. That was the name of the movie. Uh, Here we're jumping a little bit. I don't know if I was a little scattered doing this in this
No,
format.
it's fine. I mean, we're going to cover it all. I just want to.
Yeah,
I don't want you to be without your slides as we're talking about something, so you can at least have something to help you to
gotcha.
guide you on your conversation journey there.
So 435. This is for a music video, and the thing back then was the ring lights that were get
Right.
trendy. So
Got to get those eyes. Got to get those eyes.
had to put this giant ring light on the camera, and they were using fans for the hair. So imagine the sail that this became on the Steadicam. Oh my God, that was something else. Old modulus transmitter, how things changed. Um, and here is me on another set. This was single white female 2 I worked on.
Oh,
I was the operator on that, and the DP was the same DP of that Mojave movie where I met my wife. But that this was done in LA. That was a cool experience too. So I did a lot of regular operating as well as it was coming in. This was one of those movies I did in near Sacramento. Uh, uh, Paul DAC, he passed away a couple of years back. He was really cool, good AC. And here I'm doing low mode with a Panavision G2 that was a monster. I became an ace in taking out the viewfinder optical block on the camera because a lot of people didn't know how to do it, and you saved I don't know how much weight it was. It was at least 5-10 pounds
it
taking out that
matters
optical
so
block.
much.
For Steadicam, it mattered a lot. So, and it was a ton of screws, different sizes. It was complicated, but I got good at it because I didn't want to carry all that extra
Well, yeah,
weight.
because you save 5 pounds on the camera, you save 5 pounds on the weight. It's
Yeah.
on top as well.
And here's I think it's a BL4, I think, with a big. I can't remember. No, this is not a BL4. I don't remember what this was. Is that an Aton? I think it's an Aton. But it was one of the. I did shorts as well in LA at the time. And this director is now a writer in a big show. I don't remember which one, but she was super cool. Um, oh, this was another. This was first time I think they got to use this Technocrane 75.
Oh,
Yeah, that was really cool. That was another movie up in Sacramento area, and this is shooting. What was the name of that studio? Lacy Street. That
mm,
got so famous. I don't know if they're still there. Does anybody know if Lacy
I'm
Street is still around?
not
Uh,
sure.
that was a rundown, kind of crappy but fun place to shoot stuff on. And I worked on that was cool because this movie was called Next Day Air, and um, Donald Faison from Scrubs was in it too. And we didn't know that each other that we were going to be there, so he was really cool with me, and I was starting to master the wheels then, which
Mm-hmm.
wheels are not easy, and I started.
No.
I think I learned before this, but I was still practicing, and it's a fun thing. And once you get the wheels, it makes things really.
Wheels really do add so much to the shot.
They
I love
do,
them.
especially if you have any movement, especially push-ins. If you're doing with a fluid head, chances are you tilt in the beginning of the move because of inertia, and that doesn't happen with wheels.
Yeah,
It's a
just
really
being able to drag them and just get that slow deceleration. It's just, yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very natural feeling.
And This is the first, and I think the last time I saw a Photosonics camera. The going, I don't remember what the frame rate was, but Photosonics, for who doesn't know, is it's a high speed film camera, and it was 1,000 foot mag, and that got emptied in a matter of seconds. I don't remember exactly, but and the noise of that thing, it was incredible. It was it was so loud, but you're off speed anyway. It didn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah.
You can see the guy with a hearing protection there. I was just framing. It was not operated. I was on the other side of that the floppy there, doing another shot. I was just framing it, and then I was gonna leave. But it was such a loud camera. It was very interesting. But now
Do you
it doesn't.
remember what shot that was? What you were shooting?
It was a guy. He gets he in the movie. I think he gets kicked, and here he just jumps on a trampoline over the air and falls on a glass table, and the glass table explodes and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that was the slow
Worthy
motion,
of slow motion.
seeing all the little bits and pieces of glass going everywhere.
Sound designer's happiness.
Yeah, exactly. And here is another shot of that movie doing handheld with the G2, um, through this door. And that was the key grip. I don't remember his name, but I remember he was cool. And with my 600 shirt,
Mm-hmm.
is more Steadicam work, and that's a Millennium, if I'm not mistaken. Man, it's bringing back memories. All these film cameras that we don't use anymore. I worked with all of them. Here it is again.
Oh, Panavision.
Yeah, and you can see it's a different optical block, and the good old trusty modulus that was completely illegal back then, and we all used it anyway. It sent pictures and standard def in the UHF channels. Completely illegal. Uh, yeah, here it's my stint in reality. I did that a little bit. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So I
You
did
got to learn what not to like and what to like.
I did. It was a show called. What was it? Was about a group of lady doctors and babies being born that they had issues during pregnancy. Deliver Me
Doc
was the name of the
deliver
show.
me. Oh yeah, okay, that's it. Yep.
So I did shoot a few
32
parts.
episodes. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
if you were on. Were you on 32 of them?
I don't remember how many. I did a
Yeah.
bunch. I did,
Yeah.
and it was the same. It was a day or two per episode kind of thing.
Right.
So it didn't take that long to shoot them. Um, oh, here, that it's a little out of order. Let me get out of here. See, because yeah. Uh, Although this was a really cool commercial. It's the first time I did stop motion on this
Oh,
commercial.
interesting.
It was for HSN, but
Hmm.
I used to do their high end commercials for their shows, and it was a thing called shop by remote. Back then, you could go in your remote and order stuff, and
Right.
I've never done so much math as I did on this stop motion commercial because
You said the word math, right? MATH, because
yeah, 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 yeah.
you have to be careful what you heard. Is it?
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh my god, that's terrible. No, I
Yeah.
did calculations for
Yes,
this.
yes, yes. Yeah.
Many
'Cause
calculations.
I was pretty sure that's what you said, but I was like, wow, that almost sounded like. Which
Scott, what,
also
you're
would not
making
be
me
uncommon
confess
in
all sorts
some.
of things, man.
Yeah, really. This isn't LA. This is.
No, this is actually in Tampa. So that's why I'm like, oh, it jumped a little bit. You can see it's an epic.
Yep,
It
yep.
jumped a little in time.
Recognize the little tiny 5-inch monitor, 4.7. Oof.
Right. But what was cool about this is that I did a lot of research. I downloaded a bunch of stop motion things, and
Hmm.
I figure out the difference between the ones that look good and the ones that were a little weird. And I figure out the good ones, the frame count, it's not precise. Each
Hmm.
frame, right?
It's sloppy.
Yeah, so each frame lasts either 2 frames, and then the next one could be 4 frames,
Yep.
and the next one could be 3 frames, and then the next one could be
The,
1 frame. And it was not
the
three, three,
yeah,
three,
the
or
more
two.
handmade it felt, the
Yeah,
more people connected to it emotionally. Yeah, it's it.
but to make it that way, I had to really calculate. Okay, each vignette. How many seconds is that in the spot? We had X amount of vignettes in the spot, and so how many shots were each vignette, and each shot, how many frames would that be? I had a list of everything, and I and this here was interesting because it was a dolly in. So on top of that, I had to calculate how many times a dolly would have to stop on the track,
Ooh.
and how many frames in each stop it would be. It wasn't moving. We went to a spot and stop here. Okay, shoot 3 frames here, and then go to the next one, shoot 4 frames. Or I let it run for a couple of seconds every time, and they would just
Yeah,
extract the
pick the frames. Yeah.
yeah. But it was so much mathematical issues there that it was something else. But I'm very proud of this to this day, and that was in, I don't know, 2008, 2009. Uh,
Was that your only stop motion, or did you?
yeah, that's the only stop motion I ever got to do. I
Interesting.
love doing it, but there were 2 really long days. But
That's yeah. Stop
it
motion
was
is a long, tedious process.
yeah. I can show it. We can take off the sound. Do you want to
Yeah,
see that?
please do.
Let me find it here. If you stop,
Yep.
let me
Let
stop sharing it.
me. There. Well, there you. Well, there you go. You did it yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Let me see. Did I? Let me see. And I don't know if anybody has questions in as we talk. They should,
Yeah,
they
feel
should,
free to,
they
to.
should ask.
I'm sure as we get into some good details in there, people will start chiming in with some stuff. But feel free to just post questions.
Yeah.
Anybody, everybody.
Let me see. I'm finding it. Here we go. Hang on a second. So I have to go and share this again. Hang on.
Yep.
Share screen. Okay. Here we go.
There you
You,
go.
you got it there?
Popping it in. There we go.
Cool. All right. So I have no sound, so we
Good,
don't
good.
get into trouble. So it's just a
No-
picture. Here we go.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
A lot of stuff happening all the time. A
Right.
lot of movement.
How many people were on set manipulating?
It was like 15, 20 art department people because it was a lot of movement of everything. That yeah.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Move that from there. We go. Oh, you got it. That was very cool. That do did, you were you just opping or were you DP as well on
No,
that?
DP. I
DP.
DP'd. Well, there was not
What?
much opping. It was just either the camera was looking
Yeah,
straight
you
down,
put it someplace,
or
right?
yeah, the camera's not going anywhere really. Uh,
Did you have any differences that you did lighting wise because it was stop motion? Did you
um, it was more
typically?
stylistic
Yeah,
lighting. Though that I
just
put
kind of
when she's falling in the night sky with all the jewels. I have a nice little soft spotlight on her face and her hair that's behind her. So it was able to be a little more stylistic on that, but not really that different. And no, and all right. So let me go back to pictures. Where is it? Here we go. So this was the last time. Was it the last time I shot something in film? I think it was. This was the In Betweeners. It was the last episode of a season of the In Betweeners. and they went to Disney. Yeah, so we got to shoot it in Disney World, and the funny thing in the story is that they went to the wrong Disney. They got free tickets to Disneyland. They ended up going to Disney World.
Oops.
No. And then the whole gag on the whole episode is that they never get to write anything. They're in line and something happens and then they can't write. So they spend the whole day trying to write and they don't write anything.
Almost
And,
like reality.
right? So that was part of it. Um, yeah,
Not
I
enough.
was letting my hair grow back then, but that was before I really let it grow. But
Jacob's
oh,
love stop
this was
motion
a
is amazing. Not enough projects done with it today. Yep.
yeah, true. This was a really cool thing. I got to meet a real astronaut when I was shooting a spot for the space shuttle experience in Kennedy
Ooh.
Space Center.
Yeah.
So that was an Alexa Classic back there on the rig, and I don't remember his name, but cool astronaut.
Yeah.
That was
Astronaut.
super cool.
There's that.
Why is this picture so small? That was that commercial that I did for Palais Royal. First thing
Okay.
I DP'd in film, and I was nervous. I'm shooting some shoes on the beach here in Malibu, and getting that was I was lighting that, backlighting it with something. And I remember also one thing that was that's different. One thing about this is that we're shooting a summer collection, but we're shooting back in February. So in the morning the weather was good. That was in
Yeah.
Malibu, but the fog rolled in
Yep.
and it got super foggy the rest of the day, and it was a summer collection. So out came. I don't think
Big
I've
light.
ever had that big of a lighting budget again since then. I had two 16Ks,
Ooh.
and that I backlit the shit out of everybody with
Yep.
a bunch of straw, and it looked great, and it all made the spot
I mean, that's what lighting is all about.
right. Yeah,
Controlling it.
this is me. I'm in Costa Rica somewhere. I don't know why I put that
Another
picture.
epic. Yep.
And oh, this is when I shot a movie called Chasing Bullet, and I'm super proud of this movie to this day. It's super low budget. We had 10 days to shoot it. It was Steve McQueen biopic,
Oh, I do remember that.
and it even with 10 days, we never passed 12 hours, and it worked out beautifully. Here's that's Steve McQueen right there, and it turned out great. I love this. I can show a reel for that.
I believe, yeah, as long as we keep it in the window, yeah, we should be fine.
Yeah. So does this work?
Oh, you probably have to drop it back out.
I'll share this tab instead.
Oh,
There you go.
That worked. Hey, perfect.
All right. So I'll play this here. It has no music. I'll comment as it goes.
Yeah, pause it and talk about whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, we did a couple days out in the desert, and then after that, it was 1 day per location. So it was smartly written, so we could accomplish shooting this 90-minute movie in 10 days. So that worked out, and we went Willow Springs and shot a little bit of him racing this old Mustang. That was really cool. We got some cool shots there. And he was Steve McQueen. It was amazing. He looked like him. He sounded like him. It was really incredible. Seeing and Andre is Canadian, super cool guy. Look at him. It's Steve McQueen
Yeah,
to a T.
amazing.
He's talking to his agent there about his next job. Yeah, that was all at the racetrack. Boom. Oh, this shot here. I gotta pause this for a second because I'm really proud of this shot.
What filter did you have on there?
Huh?
What filter did you have on there? That
What filter did I not have there? I show up this day. It was like, I don't remember if it was 11 or 1 p.m., but it was around midday, but not quite midday, and it was super overcast. And
Mm.
it was supposed to be this flashback to the times when it was good with him and his wife, and they were making plans on what they wanted to do in the business and that kind of stuff. And I talked with the director. We wanted it nice and warm and cozy, right? And I show up, it's gray, it's overcast, gray, dark, and I was like, oh shit. So I put an M18 right there
Yep.
over
Just past the port,
the
yeah, the
thing,
roof.
yeah,
Yep.
and with the tallest stand we had, and I put, I don't know how many pieces of glass in front of the lens, but
So, get so
there's
much
a
bloom
grad,
and
there's a bunch of stuff, so we couldn't see the light, right? So it doesn't
right.
appear a light, and the results turned out really great. I'm really, the way it looked to the way it looks, it's completely
Hmm.
night and day, literally.
No,
So
that plays really well. I mean, I would have not have originally thought that was lit like that.
yeah, and then here it was nice and warm. Now we know it's lit. So, and
Yep.
here,
Yep.
same thing. I lit the background kind of harshly, but it was a sun setting, and it worked out. I'm very happy with how that turned out. That the whole sequence. Um, and this is another sequence from Chasing Bullet. Now is kind of noir. I love that. And he's in prison in Cuba. In Cuba,
Oh, yeah.
that's the Cuban president talking to him. So that was a fun set.
I like that.
Yeah,
Very, very contrasty, very moody. I
yeah,
love it.
I love that stuff.
Very noir. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we got to really play with the characters and how we light them, and
What were you shooting on? Was that epic?
that was either was Epic. No, it was Epic Dragon at that point.
Mm.
It wasn't MX anymore. It was Dragon. Dragon is still one of my favorite sensors.
It's hard to find any faults in Dragon. It's just such a
Yeah,
beautiful camera
yeah.
sensor.
Well, if you really look, you can see a little noise, but I don't know if that's terrible. It gives it
But
a little.
the noise on the Dragon didn't look like noise. It really kind of resembled film grain. It's
True,
wild.
true. Yeah, you can see it all throughout here,
Pretty.
especially
Yeah.
here. Look at the sky; it's kind of
The
noisy, but
skin and the
yeah,
sky. Yeah. My two favorite things that Dragon does really well. It pulls out skies beautifully, and the skin. It's just, oh, nice shot.
yeah. Some cool stuff we could do with Dragon back then. It's I
Should have
almost
done it.
want to go back to shooting on Dragon. It's that good.
Well, they're
I
certainly affordable now.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? It's cheaper than a Komodo,
It's
which I have two of.
well, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that shot like that.
yeah. That was all cool stuff. And then here's a mock interview with, with Steve McQueen at the end of the movie. So yeah, and then we did these vignettes with all the characters.
Dylan saying it looks so close to film. It looks just like Steve McQueen. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I did use a lot of filtration. I did use a lot of. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I've always liked to put a little
Yeah,
filtration
a little extra. Oh, that's an
of
extra. Yeah.
stuff, and yeah, still to this day I do it a lot.
So that was 2018 for Chasing Bullet.
Yeah, that's correct.
Let's see here. So jumping around, I know you had some. We can. I know you had a music video in there. We can't play. Well, we can play it without the music, but if you want to talk about that, any or the
Uh, about a music video.
the King and Country or the
Yeah, that was an interesting music video. Just jumping ahead, that was
oh yeah
not a lot of years ago. It was a few years ago, but more
Well,
recent.
according to this, it's right in time of chasing bullets.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's showing 2018 on both.
Oh man, I'm getting old. It's going fast.
Well, you know,
Let me find it here. Um, yeah,
yeah. I don't want to artificially jump you around. I'm just trying to track where we're going here. I'll just make sure that we're.
no, of course, and yeah, it's here. I gotta hang on.
Do
I'm
you
still
own a
learning
camera?
this chasing thing. Up.
Do you own cameras or do you
Uh,
rent or what?
I was very much in the rat race of buying the latest and the greatest,
Right, right.
but I'm kind of out of it now.
Yeah.
I own two Komodos,
Hmm.
which are great for a lot of different projects. They're a good all
Something
around
you,
camera.
yeah, you don't have to care too much about it.
Yeah, they're not expensive and they are easy to travel with, which I do a lot. So
They are
this
very easy to
this
travel.
this year I did do a lot of stuff in Komodos. Uh, they're great looking. Uh, no rolling shutter. You know, they're good cameras. They're
Did you have
super
you
bang for the
shot with
buck.
Komodo X at all?
I have not.
Because
I
because you're a lover of dragon, and
yes.
I'm just like you. I just dragon to me is just one of the most beautiful sensors on the planet, and Komodo X to me is so close to dragon. I I try to explain it to people, and some people get it, some people don't. I'd be really interested to see what you think about it.
Hmm. I thought the sensor was the same as the
It's
OG.
it's not.
It's not.
It's a
Huh.
different sensor, and it
Hmm.
has a completely it so Komodo to me is beautiful. It's nice, but it was less dynamic range than Dragon, and it shows in the skin. The skin
Mhm.
on Komodo is nice, but I don't think it's anywhere close to Dragon. And then the highlights in the sky, I never I never was like blown away on Komodo. I mean, I was blown away that there's a 4-inch cube that can do this, but it was not anything that would ever make me say, "Yo, I'm done with Dragon." Komodo X, it it was completely different feeling. It was wild.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I remember I had the helium before the Komodo, and to be completely honest, and I told Jared this, I have never been super enthralled with the helium. That there was
See,
something
this
about
is
it
why
that
you and I get along. Helium is my least favorite of all the red sensors.
yeah. And then when I got the Komodo, I was like, oh, this is kind of back towards Dragon, and I loved it for that. There was actually a movie that I did shoot Komodo and helium. And every time we went to a close up, the helium was B camera, so it was taking most close ups. And I was like, "That's not. It's just not right." And if I would put the Komodo, it was just okay. Now I see it. Now it's right. There was something about it, and I can't put my finger what it is.
I I can't either. To me, everything on
There's something.
helium is slightly muted. It's almost like not compressed digitally, but compressed in light. It just it feels
Yeah,
weird
yeah,
to me.
yeah. So Komodo was a good step forward back to, or a step back, I would say, back to.
Well, in some ways, step forward, step back. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, now you got me curious to try the KX.
Well, I'm gonna have to. Maybe I'll send you mine, let you play with it for a little
Oh,
bit.
that would be fun.
It is a. It is a. It was a different animal, and it honestly it made me. You ready for me to pop that up there?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a music video.
Yeah, it actually I wanted to jump out of Dragon at some point because I wanted to get to 8K. I wanted to get to some better stuff, uh, and I couldn't do helium. I couldn't quite justify in my brain the switch over to Monstro. I liked Monstro a lot compared to the
I do
others,
like Monster too. Yeah,
but
and I
Dragon
feel
to me looked better.
I feel Monstro
But
has some dragon DNA. I don't know if
it
they share
does.
some things,
Uh,
but
Well, Monstro was everything they learned from scaling dragon, which was you can't scale
which was
dragon.
hard to do. I understood
Very.
that.
And Komodo X actually allowed me to sell my dragon, which it was not like I was getting anything out of the dragon. I felt like I wanted to move forward, and nothing made me happy. And Komodo X, it made me happy, and I was like, okay, I can sell dragon now finally,
Hmm,
because
interesting.
I had dragon all the way from Epic One, yeah, and through DSMC two,
I
and loved
know.
it.
Yeah, and then Helium came and kind of put a little
Yeah,
damper on it.
yeah. Helium was a different flavor to me. It was just
Yeah.
I mean, it was red. It just wasn't red. It was yeah.
It was funky. But yeah, this music video here,
Hmm.
the interesting part of it is that the director, when he called me for it, he said, "We want to shoot this in the desert at night. But we want to show the desolation. How do we light this? How are we gonna light the whole desert?" And I said, "Well, why should we light it? Why don't we find a camera? The cameras were coming out at that point that could see in the dark."
Yeah.
After the original A7S, and
Hmm.
I said, well, we can find a camera that will do it, and we tested a few and ended up shooting it. The night stuff we shot with the A7 R3, and there's a sunrise scene, which is actually we shot it in the sunset. That was the Gemini, and some underwater with a GH5 because all we had underwater housing was for the GH5. So,
What
but it turned out really
what
well.
cameras were you comparing the A7R3 to?
The three of them, I compared the three of them. I tested it.
Okay.
Those were the cameras we had
And so,
access.
what was it about the A7R3 that won out over?
Oh, it was
Well,
just clean.
clean.
Shooting at moonlight with the other ones was noisy as
Hmm.
it was unusable. It was asking way too much of them. But the
Well, let's see. That's
A7R3, I'm sure I know it has internal noise reduction,
yeah.
but you can see and you see in the music video it's kind of softens out everything a little bit, but it's an interesting look. It looks
Well,
otherworldly.
the R3 was because I had the R2, and I liked the R2, but the R3 opened up the dynamic range of that camera quite a bit.
Mhm.
Uh, and I really felt that the look of the R3 was steps above R2. And so
All right, I'm gonna play
flip
it. No
through.
music. It's a little cheat because I did have a 1200 HMI to
Hmm.
backlight the
That
rain
blue,
that comes in a
yeah,
little bit. So that's that kick on the side of his face is the 1200 HMI. That because soon after here it starts raining, but I sent the 1200 like 3 miles down the road in a truck with a generator. So
right.
it's so far away and it's still lighting it that hard. So yeah, you can see here how much light those things are casting.
Wow.
And let me go forward a little bit, and here's like it was designed for low light, so I never really
Oh,
got into it, and maybe it's my bad.
it's,
So
a lot of people put it above Dragon.
really,
Yeah,
hmm,
they like the skin on Gemini, very much like they like the skin on Dragon.
okay,
I like Gemini. I put Gemini under Dragon, but I put Monstro kind of to the side because it's kind of different. Now with V Raptor, I think V Raptor just takes it to the next level. It's a definitely different animal.
I have not used the V Raptor yet, and I've I remember when I did, and we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Venom One coming out. Um, I either wanted to do a V Raptor or the Alexa 35, and it had
Hmm.
just come out, the Alexa
Yep.
35. But the rental places started getting it,
Right.
so I wanted to do either or, and I ended up with Monstros
I mean,
because
oh,
the in Vancouver. there was no V Raptor to be found, and I told Jared that. I said, "We want to do V Raptor, and we can find them." And
Huh.
the Alexa 35 was a little pricey. We could afford it, but then I would lose a few days of Technocrane,
Mhm.
and I decided I would rather have Technocrane, Condor, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff instead of the
Alexa
camera.
35 is a really nice image. It really they've done well with it, I think.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's a beautiful camera,
It
but
does have some interesting stuff in the shadows, but it's
hmm, the Monstro is no slouch, and
no,
I'm very, very happy with it. And
Monstro is a really good sensor, and V Raptor is basically a a Monstro Plus when you think about it. So if you like Monstro, you certainly like V Raptor. I don't
yeah,
think I know anybody that says otherwise. And V Raptor just gives you a little extra. It's nice.
gotcha. Yeah, and I shot it. I think it was 6 or 7K. I obviously I didn't shoot 8K because I was using Atlas Orions.
Oh
They're
yeah,
5.
yeah.
I think it was 6K, and there was one sequence that we decided to shoot in spherical because it was in a mine in a tunnel, and it was lit by flashlight, and it was like 6 principal with flashlights pointing at the camera. It would be just flare city, and I love flare as much as anybody, but that would have been a little too much, so we decided to go spherical for that. So we did ultra primes, which
Oh,
I
nice.
I always liked ultra primes. I like the non-clinical look of them compared
I
to master.
remember in Vegas and at NAB, they were showing the prototype of the 25 Orion, and we borrowed a Monstro and took the 25 out and had a little fun with it. It was amazing on that.
Dude, I got the 25
So
and the 21. It was awesome. I think we were the first show to use a 21. It came straight
it's
from the factory to White's in Vancouver. I
amazing.
had written to Dan and said, "Hey man, if you have one, send it to White's. I know they order it." And then we got to use it halfway through the movie. We had the 25 from the get go. The 21 came like halfway through the movie, and there were a few sequences that we had a rig right on top, and we wanted to see more, and there was no more distance. And the 21 is actually better than the 25 somehow. Less distortion than the 25. I don't know how
Right.
they managed to do that, but those are great lenses. I love the Orions.
I do have a lot of respect for Orions.
They're anamorphic has a special place, and you
Hmm.
can't use it to everything. But within anamorphic, the I I I I don't remember what's I used once a Panavision series. I can't remember what it was, but they're right there with the Orions. They're different, but I do love the Orions.
What do you use your Komodos for these days? Question for you.
There are many commercials I do with Komodos. I just did I can't say what brand, but I just did a toothpaste commercial of all things, and use the Komodos, and that was interesting about that. That was an interesting thing because the agency with the clients held the interviews with the talent over Zoom, right? And they build an animatic out of that. So they watched those interviews that were recorded from Zoom many times, and they started loving that so much that they're like, for the part where they for all the lines, let's do it on iPhones. And I'm like, okay. And I went and got an iPhone 15 Pro Max Super Duper Plus, and all the I got the Tilta
Yeah,
attachments.
yeah,
It works great with the little hub, so I could put a transmitter on it, so it works like a camera on set. The director was saying, "Well, we've done iPhone before for social stuff, and we can never monitor it." I said, "Never. I got it. It'll work like a cine camera," and it did. But once we were there, we shot some beauty stuff with the Komodo. It looked great, and And then it was time for the on the set for the iPhone, and I had the whole setup, turn it on, put it on, and the ring light. They wanted the ring light because that's what they had, so they see the round thing in their eyes. And then the director was so used to seeing things in a beauty way with the cameras that he didn't like being able to see all the pores and all the wrinkles, and even that it was a toothpaste commercial, so it was all about the teeth. They're all nicely white and beautiful teeth, but you could see all the wrinkles, you could see the bags in their
Hmm.
eyes, all that stuff. So we ended up not shooting with the iPhone, shooting with the Komodo, but they put it then in 30 frames, so it looked kind of like a phone, but not really because it looks much
Hmm.
better. So it
More soap opera ish.
became this whole thing. I have a couple of pictures I can show. Let me find it here before uh, we share it. Um,
Jacob was asking us to look at something. We might do that, Jacob, if we have time. I want to get through everything of his, and then he wanted us to see this Whiplash music video and have us both react to it.
oh, okay. Let me
But
see.
we're here for you right now.
Oh, we should be here for everybody.
Well,
Let me see. Hang on. Just gotta find it here. Is this? No, it's not this. Yeah, I
and
gotta.
everybody, feel free to ask questions. Don't be shy.
Oh, here we
The goal
go.
will be to put so many questions up that we can't get to them all. That's the goal.
So here's what we ended up doing. Are you getting?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Yep.
So this is what we end up doing. Uh, didn't have a ring light for this, but we had the this dash, the Roscoe dash with the round
Yep.
attachment. So and you can see in the monitor, very front lit, very soft, beauty kind of thing, very wide, and still using my trusty 17 to 50 red lens. I love that. It works great. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, it's definitely got a. I mean, it's made well. It's very nice. Just
Oh,
doesn't cover much.
it works great. And here's the iPhone setup.
Hmm.
It's messy, so you see the ring light and the handles. Here's the hub, and then DJI transmitter over here, and the on and off for the ring light. So you can put it on sticks. You can transmit the picture, but they could not. They did not like. They did not like
The look.
the picture of it.
I know that I saw that there was a rig the other day. Somebody had posted that they were shooting this commercial all on the iPhone, but when you see the rig and it's got all these adapters on it, so they could get full nice lenses on there, and it changed it all. It was kind of hilarious.
The moment you do all this stuff, and the iPhone becomes just a sensor to whatever
Hmm.
picture you're creating, there's no really point in doing that, in my opinion.
It's
Uh,
yeah, that it's literally just a bragging right to say you did it with a phone, but you're really
yeah,
not.
that's
You're
kind of what 28 years later is.
yeah.
They have everything that's sitting on a techno crane, and they have lens attachment. And what's the point at that point? If you have an iPhone and you want to stick it in corners, places you cannot get a camera normally in, and do something interesting because it's an iPhone, I totally get that, and I'm totally for it. uh, Use every tool you got, but modifying the phone so much so it looks as close as possible to a cinema camera. Just use a freaking cinema camera. You're
Yeah,
not
it's
saving
it's
money at that point.
it's to say, oh, look what you could do with an iPhone. Well, no, that's not what you're doing. You're not doing it with an iPhone.
No,
it's it's
at that point, it's not about the iPhone anymore. It's
the,
about all the
Joe
stuff.
at home is not going to do it. It's not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
that doesn't work.
what's your next one here that we can go through?
Oh, I see. Richard Garcia is on here. He said that I would be talking about my favorite first AC. I don't know, who would that be, Richard?
I take it you guys know each other.
I know Richard. We've known each other for years and years and years, and yeah, every time I get to work with him, it's a disaster. No, it's great. I mean, it's great.
Well, he put axe, so I thought he was maybe talking about your guitar.
Yeah, yeah. Is that what that is? I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what he means.
What's your next BTS thing that you get there?
So let me see here. Hang on. Well, why don't we talk about Venom One before we get we get
Sure.
too far into the thing? Because Venom One. Let me. Is this. There's some cool stuff about Venom One. Venom One is I shot it in Canada in 22 second half of 22. Uh, it was around, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's about $10 million budget. So it was a very nice budget that I got to work on. I'm used to do low budget stuff, so when stuff grows like that, it's great. Um, Hang on, I'm just trying to localize the folders. Yeah, I think I got it. All right, let me share it here. All right.
There we go.
So start here. This was during pre-production. I got they bought the Tilta helmet, and then
Mm-hmm.
I rigged the Komodo on it with the 11-16.
Still very heavy on the head.
Oh, super heavy, super heavy. But doing the shoot, we ended up our B camera operator Nathan ended up doing some shots with it. He put the military jacket and gloves on and did the POVs, and then at some point Chase wanted to do it. Chase was the number one on the call sheet, and he got to do a few shots. Ended up none of these shots made it in the movie. The director
Mm.
felt that it felt very different from all the rest of the movie, so we ended up not using it. But it was cool rigging this up, transmitter on top here, and
Looked like the 11-16 lens with on the previous shot it was the 11-16 with
yeah, it's 11-16 on that.
nucleus, and then the revolve.
Yeah, Revolve. I always use Revolve on my Komodo. I love Revolva. It should have come with the red, with the Komodos and the DSMC2s. I've been using Revolva ever since. It's the best attachment to DSMC2s and the Komodo. I can't live without it. So this was during pre-pro. That's a table read. Uh, they had their producer on the left here and the cast in front. This is cool people. Then during prep, here are the two monstros,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see we used the Orions on this
Yep.
camera, and then we had the Laowa 12 for the widest
Oh, so super wide, right?
if we needed that. We ended up, I don't think we used it at all, but we had
Really?
it in case we needed super wide. Yeah, because we ended up
Okay.
getting the 21. That was pretty wide
Yeah.
on the 2X anamorphic.
Yeah, that would be really wide on
So
that.
yeah, that ended up being super wide. And when we shot spherical, we didn't have to go that wide, so didn't need that. This was a really cool thing we got to do. I got to do a oneer on this movie. I got inspired by Children of Men, that
Mm-hmm.
shot where they're in the car and all hell breaks loose. They start backing out, and the camera goes inside the cabin all around
Right.
360s and seeing all that mayhem. Do you remember that shot?
Mm-hmm.
So inspired by that, of course, nowhere near that complex because we couldn't create a rig. We had to get off the shelf stuff. So I got a camera car here, and we put the Technocrane on top of it, and the camera car then drug the truck. So only grips. It's a new website. Anybody can sign up. And so here you see the camera car with the technocrane and our hero vehicle, and inside the bed back here, the actors would be here doing lines and stuff. So the shot actually starts outside, goes in, goes around, goes out again. It does a bunch of stuff. It was a really cool thing, and we got to do on a prep day. We got to shoot it to make sure that it would work and fix things. So they had to fix the road a little bit. It was really a lot of potholes, so they fixed the road so we could do that better, and it worked out perfectly. We did it like in 3 or 4 takes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what Valiant One is and
Yeah, so Venom One is a military action. It's based on a true story. It didn't go. The true story doesn't go all the way, but it's a what if. It's a group of soldiers in South Korea. They used to have to go near the DMZ to check on radar installations and that kind of stuff. And in one of those missions, the helicopter one is departing, gets into bad weather, and got blown into North Korea, and then then they went back and landed, and not a problem. But the what if story was, what if they crashed into North Korea and had to get out of there? What would happen? And that's the story. So it's a linear movie. There's no big twist or anything like that. But it's a cool edge of your seat kind of story. And so that was the whole helicopter thing. Here we are doing prep. There was the whole helicopter thing we had to
mm,
shoot. So we ended up getting this body of a decommissioned helicopter. It's the same type of the one that flew that we see the picture of, and sitting on a gimbal, and the gimbal. It
it'll move around? Wow.
lower here to see it move. You can see this, Scott.
Yeah, oh yeah, very much.
So I had light moving as they're turning, and obviously we have some air. And then here's the guy on the left operating the gimbal. So
Huh.
whenever there needs to be any movement, he's operating that with his hand. If he doesn't do it here, I have another video that does it better. Yeah, the next one. So yeah, this one you'll be able to see all the movement that the gimbal operator does. It's a really cool system.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I see the gimbal that he's holding. Yeah,
Why is it?
he's
Come
bas-
on, load it.
he's basically operating the
Yeah, I'm
base
gonna pause it.
plate as a
Yeah,
base plate. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna pause it for a second, see if it loads
Yep.
better. There you go. And the cameras are inside. We wanted to be in with them, never outside. So you can see the camera through the window there.
This was an expensive scene.
I'm sorry, it keeps crapping out. My Wi-Fi is not
No,
going very well. You can see him
I
going
mean,
up there.
people are used to it on my live streams. It's a
I can lower the quality. So. Ah, shit. So here we go. Let's do it from here. Oh, we did go back. Let me go forward here a little bit. You can see his movements in his hand translate to the
yeah,
gimbal. And that
yeah.
was
He's
my
like he's
son there on a menace arm moving up and down
nice.
as they
So
were.
he's basically like controlling the floor, or it's almost like he has the model in his hands, basically.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah,
idea.
interesting.
You can see it there and
Wow.
landing the helicopter. And it makes it feel really real inside because everybody's moving at the same pace. It's not a Star Trek where people are just jerking around, and which I love Star Trek. Don't get me wrong; it's great. But I have seen those videos where they stabilize the picture,
Oh yeah,
and you see them
it's so
just,
funny.
just going. It's pretty
And they just
funny.
ask him, tell us what rating of a shake you want. And
Yeah, exactly.
uh, the question for you: how do you typically use a techno crane? Are there a few key ways you hone in on when you ask for one, or
Well,
or a few
it
key
needs to
ways? Yeah.
be in because it's quite expensive to rent. So
Yes.
it needs to be something that can be solved by other tools, and there's a lot of overlap in different camera movements. Maybe we can do it with a dolly, a jib on top of a dolly, or something like that. But in this case, we had a shot moving through. We had a few actually moving through the wreckage, going through the windshield that's blown out in the helicopter. So it goes through that and goes all the way through. That was the only way to do it. Either that or a cable camera, but that sounded more complicated to me to do.
Right.
So we did a few things with the technocrane there. There was another shot we do later in the cabin, uh, which was interesting. It was a practical location. It had a cabin there, but they built an extra room for that cabin, and that extra room is where a lot of things happen. And because we built it with a wild wall, so we could move the wall away, and then we used a jib in there, just a regular jib instead of a technocrane. There was no reason to use a technocrane.
How much of these movements are dictated by either the script or the director or you? How much are you saying, no, I want to fly through this helicopter through the front, or is that literally written in the script, or what?
In this case, no. I came up with a lot of the ideas of like you can see in this picture. There's a hole right there, and the shot went right through there, um,
Yeah. Okay.
all the way to the back. And we didn't use the whole move in the movie, but a good portion of it is in. And in doing pre-production, me and the director, we sat down and broke down the script and decided how we would do each part. And first, you decide what is the style of the scene. Are we doing all handheld, or then we
Right.
decided it would be a little bit of everything because there is some uh, frantic parts. There are some parts that should be less so, and it's all about contrast. If
Hmm.
you're doing handheld and jerking through the whole time, it loses the intensity. But
Right.
if you're smooth at parts and then all of a sudden you're handheld and frantic, it feels more so. So that's what we decided to do. So we had a little bit of both. So this was the real helicopter that flew in and landed here, and is the same type of a helicopter that you guys saw in the
Hmm.
gimbal. It was a different one, but it's the same model.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of in the. Why don't we show the trailer to it?
Okay. Let's
What
go.
do you think? I have it right here,
Pop it up and
and this is okay with sound, right? We
yes, this one's okay with sound.
figured. Okay,
Yeah.
share this tab.
Should be safe on that one.
All right. So I'm going to shut up for the 2 minutes of the trailer, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Here we go. Yeah, make it big.
There you go.
Rockman. Gear up. Great.
Let's focus on the mission.
Can we even call this a mission? We're gonna be on the ground for like 20 minutes.
Do you take anything seriously?
No.
We have multiple dead, multiple wounded. We need a medevac right now.
They can't get us. We're in North Korea. So you're gonna have to get these people out of here.
Sir, respectfully, I'm trained to analyze data, not this.
Right now, you're the leader. So you gotta be that for them and for yourself. Don't let it end here.
We are going deeper into North Korea. Following a guy who has no idea what he's doing.
No matter how hard it kicks, you stick your chest out,
No.
you keep your head up, and you handle it.
Is that supposed to be a pep talk?
It's Tupac.
Should we say for the fest?
Rockman, behind us.
You all seem pretty smart. Why
choose this. Where I come from, there just isn't a lot of options.
Our country has given me so much, and I wanted to give back.
Almost there. Let's go home.
All right, so that's that.
Very cool. So, what the look of it? So it's kind of the muted colors, very well, feels very military movie like. What was your thinking, and how did you achieve that? Did you do it in camera? Is it a grading? What?
Well, that was actually it's a twofold reason why the colors are muted like that. Well, one is the helicopter crashed because it was bad weather. What happened is that we shot it in September, October in Vancouver, and September, October is overcast usually, and it's fall, kind of getting worse. It was the prettiest fall they've ever had in decades. It was blue skies and sun every day, almost until like the last 3 days or something like that. It was a beautiful weather, which doesn't work in the story. So I had to work really hard getting. Let me see if I can find here. I had to really um, do a lot of negative fill, do a lot of 12 buys where I could fit. To avoid all the sun coming in. It was really it was hard, and I can show you guys here. Yeah, now let me share again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, which is this one maybe? Yeah. So you can see here. Look at the sky, beautiful sky,
Yeah.
and beautiful sky. Look at the sky here. The helicopter just crashed. It was gorgeous. So it was kind of the negative version of that chasing bullet shot, where I made it warm and cozy. Here it was warm and cozy. I had to make it dark and dreary. So that was also why we chose that color palette, because that would de-accentuate the
Right.
sunny and the
Right.
contrast of that. Here's a Brett Maniluck, a Steadicam operator, a camera operator, operating the camera on the techno crane. And here's the Komodo rigged for something. I don't remember what it was there, but you can see. And then I put a lot of ambience, a lot of smoke in the scene. Here's Brett looking sexy. This tail was built because they couldn't find a helicopter like that was broken. Look at that sun.
Right.
How beautiful is
Right.
that? And we couldn't use that. And you see, here's the 21. Yeah, and you could see in the trailer when they're running through this pretty open field, you see the sky is nice and overcast and look a little stormy. That's sky replacement. It was blue.
Okay. Gotcha.
It was blue. So we did a lot of grading. Here is our B camera operator operating the helmet cam. Yeah, here's in the shot. It was his POV going in and fighting a guy dead. But like I said, we never used it. Look at this guy here. The fly swatter, and then I did throw some sun in here because the whole movie happens in a day and a half or something like that. There's one overnight, so I wanted as the time was progressing and they're getting close to this cabin, I wanted it to be a nice sunset, so some orange light coming in. But you know how it's stormy on top, and sometimes the sun goes underneath, and it's a nice sunset with these crazy stormy skies. That was the plan to do so, and you can see here sky with barely a hint of clouds. This is a it's
Way
an
worse.
homage. This is Sparta because the producers also were parts of the producing team for 300, so they used that little thing. And every morning was this beautiful ground fog, but you can see the sky.
That you
How
can't use.
you can it was so much work to avoid the pretty weather, which usually you wanna use a lot, but and here that's the side of the cabin that got built, and we got to use a jib in here. That was a cool shot that we got to do here, and they hide in that hole in the movie, but this was all built. And here's second team. We're running up the shot with second team. I see 100 mil here. No, what's over here? But yeah, and here flies water to stop the sun. And I have my own sun here, the 18K there. And let me see, more fly swatter. I can see it stopping the sun. And here, I guess it got a little overcast here.
You're like, yes, yes.
Yeah, for once, it was such a pretty fall, and it was so warm too, until the two
How-
last days. And we were out in a hill and stuff like that, and it opened up. It was
Wow.
an atmospheric river coming through, so it rained a ton that day.
How did
So
your bagging technique work? Did it seal up nicely?
the trash bag, man, that works. Those guys were experts in it. They worked there, and it's Ziploc. It's a Ziploc bag over the monitor.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
they call Vancouver Rain City, right? So
Right.
they're used to this. Here they are in their garb. This is A camera operator Brad Manilook and Nathan B camera operator. They're great guys. They're super good operators. Here's a rig we did. There's carrying a gurney at the end of the movie, so that's a POV of the guy getting
Gotcha.
carried by the soldiers. They're going to be on top of that, and then we did the opposite. That's when the 21 came in handy for these shots. And it's not dirty. That's diffusion, whatever that diffusion was that I chose that day. I still put diffusion. It was a half glimmer glass on top of the Orions that I use. I do use heavy diffusion. I'm not afraid. Here's that
Oh, I
one.
mean, it
Go ahead.
definitely helps break up the digital sometimes.
Oh, it does. I love it. Here's us doing the thing. I'm just watching the movie. I'm just talking through it. Brad is operating. I did operate when we did the test, but during the shoot, Brad operated the camera there on the Techno as we were going. And then yeah, here's the truck. I can show I put a 360 camera on top of the real camera. Do you want to see
Do
that?
it. Yeah.
Let me find it here.
Promote that full
Let's do
screen.
this. No, hang on. Here we go. Here's the shot. Share this tab. All right. So you got it there.
Mm-hmm. Go
Here we
for
go.
it.
Play.
Full screen it.
Oh yeah, full screen it. There's no sound, but there was no sound anyway. It's just you can hear the ambient. 360. See here going over. It starts outside, goes in, and then catches a bit of dialogue there, and you can see it's my Ingenue optimal style. And if you pay attention to it, you see I'm actually writing the zoom on this. It was movement plus zoom plus choreography of those guys. It goes back and forth as they were talking. There's a little dialogue. He figures out he got shot, but what saved him was a satellite phone. He got shot, but now they have no satellite phone.
Oh, yeah.
And talk to anyone. The cables there got cut in the 360.
Right. The stitch.
Yeah. So soon, they figure out there's something behind us. What's behind us? They go to check it out. Camera moves around. We're all inside this truck, and we can't pop out. And then the camera pops out to reveal behind. And go. They talk a little bit there. He gives the other guy a gun, and then there's a North Korean military car in the background. And then the soldiers come out. The camera continues until the soldiers come to the driver's side. You can see the camera car there briefly. Yell at him in Korean, and the guy driving is a soldier, and he's Korean American, but he doesn't speak Korean. So he's like, I don't know. And then the other guy goes to check in the bed. Camera goes back up, back in. They grab the guy and they stab him. So that was a whole oneer.
How many days did you take to shoot this one?
Oh, half a day.
Half a day.
Yeah, we had like 4 or 5 hours to shoot this, and we did it.
You did all rehearsals and everything in the half day?
Yeah, with rehearsals.
Wow.
But the crew knew exactly what to do because we had already done it in the testing. It was just the
okay.
there. So we just rehearsed it a little bit, and then it was fairly easy. And here's a technique that not that I learned during Martian, but it's just something that Ridley Scott likes to do, and I thought it was a great idea, and I tried to put that in every movie I work on. Everything is tail slate.
Yep.
In a Ridley Scott movie, and because he doesn't want to wait. By the time you yell cut, they're gonna go tail slate. We're already talking about what do we do wrong, what can we do better, what they slate. So we're not waiting on the slate. And the director thought it was a really good idea. So the whole movie is tail slate. And I thought it was very efficient. Just roll camera, and then off we go. Action. There is no...
Well, slate's always, whether an actor is used to it or not, it always takes something away from the performance because you've got something in your face. You've got camera operators focusing on that and then going back or
and then set and all that stuff, Here's it's camera set. Yeah. So it worked out really well. So we tail slate the whole movie. And I've been trying to do that since I worked on The Martian. I thought it was a great idea. So like I said, it's not like the concept of tail slate was strange to me. I knew that. Just doing the whole movie, not necessary.
Yeah, using it for a purpose, right.
And on this movie, we also had to be very efficient. We shot it in 25 days. So it wasn't a huge schedule. And
what's the runtime on it?
It's just under an hour and a half. It's like an hour and 28, I think. So yeah, it's not a long movie, but still, we had a lot of stuff to get done in that time. And also,
110-page script, or was it?
I don't remember the page count. But also, the light was short. The days were short in Vancouver this time of year. So we had about 9 hours of daylight. So what we did was, we did not in the beginning. In the beginning, we did stop for lunch, but towards the end, we did what they call their Pacific Northwest hours, which is French hours. So we kept it at 10 hours a day towards the end of the movie. But in the beginning, that was a little more light, and also, for example, in the helicopter crash, towards the end of the day, we would do a scene where the guy's talking. There's a guy dying inside the helicopter. He's pinned down and he's dying, and the other guy is talking to him. We saw that scene in the trailer. The angle that looks outwards to our hero, where we see a lot of forest, is during the day. But when we go back to the guy inside the helicopter that's pinned down, that was actually at night, and I lit up what we see. So I lit up the interior there of the helicopter, so it worked out fine. You can never tell. So we were able to extend the days going into the dark. doing that way. And then we did have a couple of night things to do, and then we were also inside the cabin, so I could light that. But towards the end, it got really dark really quick. It was, yeah, it was some, we were working against the time. I'm
And this
going
movie
back.
comes out in January.
Huh?
And this movie comes out in January.
January 31st.
January 31st. Nice.
So here we see the whole circus behind, and here are the two operators, one handheld, one Steadicam. He was really good at handheld, so when he didn't move, it looked like it was either on sticks or on a
Stage,
Steadicam.
nice.
He was really good, really good operators, and those guys
You had
here.
25 shoot days. How much planning did you put into it?
Oh, I had 5 weeks of prep, so that was important.
Yeah. The more you spend in prep, the shorter you can make your days, for sure.
Yeah. And here we are dealing with the color grading that was done in Company 3 in Vancouver, which was really cool. That's their theater room. At that point, we didn't know whether it was going to go theatrical or straight to Netflix or something like that. But we decided to grade it in the theater, and I'm happy we did that because it's coming out in theaters. In this day and age, it's so hard to get independent movies to come in theaters. So I'm really excited about that. So I worked for a week in March 23 doing this. That's my DIT. That's the DIT station during the shoot. It almost looks like a real shoot. But yeah, the DIT was really great. We did make a LUT for the film during shooting, and it came out of when we shot the test of the Warner in the truck. I did grade it kind of. Oh, maybe it should look kind of this way, and the director loved it, so he created our LUT based on that, and then we graded based on that LUT.
Did you
Just
have
thought this
any?
was a funny picture doing windows in his eyes.
Did you do anything different on shutter speed? Did you were you
No,
trying to?
no, it was all 180. I didn't even do 90 for or less for action scenes. I sometimes it becomes a little bit tropey, in my
Sure.
opinion. So I just left it 180 throughout. Yeah. See, yeah, Red Monster we shot in 6K for coverage, both from the Orions and the ultra anamorphic, ultra primes. Not anamorphic.
Right.
And we're great. That's our colorist in the middle, and that's Steve, the director. Yeah, we're in the color room there. That's
Everybody's
the
excited for January, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited for that. See what's gonna happen. It could be one of those things. Movie comes and goes, but I hope it gets a little less. And
Do
people
you know
go
what kind of release they're planning for it? Is it wide or is it?
It's fairly wide. It's not like a week at 4,000 theaters, but it's like 2,000 theaters. So,
That's good.
so
that's
you'll
a good
find it
release.
every city. You know, it will be
cool.
around. Yeah,
I hope it does really, really well. It'd be awesome.
yeah, do too, man.
So what else you got there?
Let me see.
Any
I
questions?
have some more hodgepodge stuff. Let me see. Oh, this is a cute little thing. I did a short this year. I will show. It's kind of a bucket list kind of thing that I got to shoot. Where I got to shoot this. Where is it? Here. I got to shoot this film, the short, right behind the Hollywood sign in LA.
Oh, I remember seeing the location shots, the selfies of you going, huh.
Yeah, that was really cool. I that was a bucket list kind of thing. You can, it was, and when we were up there, it was so clear. It was kind of windy, so the wind was helping, but you can still see a little smog over there.
Yep,
But
yep.
it's getting better. There's so many EVs now out there that it's gotten the air quality is better. But and it was a low budget short that I was helping a director to do, and we rented gear from Wooden Nickel. And if
Yep.
anybody ever had stuff from Wooden Nickel, this is the worst checkered the bounce I ever used. It was so worn that this barely bounced anything. They're great
There's a
guys.
reason Wooden Nickel sells cheap when
Yeah.
they sell their stuff.
And you see, we the dolly was a Dana dolly that I had to do this so we could do forward shots with a Dana dolly. I do that a lot.
Hmm.
Have to do that so we don't. If you have the Dana dolly on stands and then the camera right on it, you see the rails at the end.
Right,
So
exactly. You
way
gotta get
to
it away
avoid it,
from the.
you do it
Yep.
this way. I do
Or you
that
can
a
put a
lot.
little jib on the dolly.
Yeah. So this was a cool bucket list kind of thing. Shooting.
What was the process like getting up there or getting to shoot up there?
Well, I know the director slash producers. It's not easy. They had to talk to Film LA and Park Service or all these government instances and pay a lot of money for
Right.
both for permits, and then you have to have babysitters and pay for a cop,
Mhm.
even that we're not stopping any traffic up there. We were able to drive to right behind here where you don't see, just there's a road here
Yeah.
and it goes around the bend. We could park right at the bend, so all we had to do is walk up around here, so it wasn't bad.
That's nice.
No, yeah, because the hike up there is like a couple hours, I understand, or
Yeah.
something like that. So I never hiked up there, but I did ride my bike once when I lived there full time, and I used to ride my bike up and down, all the way down to Burbank and then back up again. And I did one day ride to the sign. It was really cool.
I was always told don't touch the sign because they have motion detectors on it.
Yeah, you can't really get to it. You have to. The guy was gonna let us. There's a little gate, and then there's a rope that you have to scale down to get to the sign.
Wow.
And he was gonna let us go, but we ran out of time, so I never
Yeah.
got to go to the sign itself. But it's like
You're there.
30, 40 yards.
Yeah,
So
well, you can see the H or the
yeah, it's a
W
little
maybe.
down the road there. And then we did a little bit in a studio. We did a dance sequence in this studio here. I forgot the name of the studio.
Somebody wasn't wearing booties.
Oh yeah, none of us. And
I
so
know,
it was a
it's
nice, very simple lighting setup, but it was a cool thing. And in the end, there's a script that goes flying. So it was a cute thing that I got to do lately in LA. Let me get some water.
My dog keep bothering me here. So what's next? What's working on next that you
Well,
can
next the
describe?
hardest work is Christmas.
Mm,
Christmas with the family, have a good time. That
right?
that is
A little
important.
relaxation. You
And
have
I have a few things in the horizon, but nothing is set in stone. But it
right.
is looking for me. There's one movie set in stone, but it's not until September that I'm shooting in Montana, in a western ranch out there. Really cool
Ooh,
spot. Yeah, it's
nice.
gonna be really cool.
Weather should
I
be
did a
cooperative
movie
then.
a few years ago called A Christmas Karen,
Mm-hmm. I
and
remember that.
it's based on A Christmas Carol, but instead of Scrooge, it's Karen and modernized. But it's the same process with the ghosts and all that stuff. So that got really popular. Actually, they did well with it. So the distributor wanted uh, something else, and then the director pitched the idea of there was that old western called High Noon.
Mm-hmm.
So he pitched a western called High Moon with it's the same idea, but it has werewolves and vampires as a horror
Oh,
movie.
interesting.
So that's what I'll be doing in September, October. in
that'll be
Montana.
interesting. In
And
Montana.
yeah,
Oh,
next
that'll
year
be nice.
sounds like a horror, the year
It's
of
going to be a
horror.
horror year.
Because I have two other movies that I'm talking to that I might make, and one is a horror comedy, which is pretty cool, cool concept, and funny. So
Amazing BTS. Do you take it all yourself or hire someone to do BTS for you?
some of the BTS I take care of, like the 360 on top of the camera. You just gotta have the wherewithal to also think of that, And when you have a good crew that takes care of most of the stuff for you, then you have a little extra bandwidth to deal with these things. But when you don't, you can't. And a lot of it is production. They have their BTS and they share with me.
The 360 camera on the rigs is something that I've been doing a lot lately because I wanted to show setups and show
Yeah.
camera movement and all that. And like nothing is getting cleared to come out. It's like, come on.
Yeah. I did just get authorized this morning, actually, about this one. Or he said, yeah, the director checked out with everybody, and yeah, it's fine. So that worked out.
So you got a couple of weeks of the family and
Yeah, I
good
probably
market.
have some commercials back in Florida, in the ether. That was something that we were gonna shoot in December, but it got pushed. There was this freak, end of October actually. I mean, end of November. There was this freak hurricane threatening to come really late in the season, but it ended up not happening. But they had canceled the shoot because of that. So that might come in January. I have maybe a couple of Hilton commercials. So there's a few things. After the strike, it has been a tough time, and has been too for me. I worked. Put it this way: I made as much money October, November as I made the rest of the year. It was so slow throughout the whole year.
Right.
Just the end of the year is starting to warm up again, and now things are starting to happening. I feel, and I hear that from
What
a lot of people.
what do you feel about the industry right now as a whole?
Yeah, it's changing, and it's inevitable. Media, the conglomerates are different. It's not linear TV anymore, and it's big tech that owns most of it now, and they play it different ways, and we have to adapt or die, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if we can hold on and keep doing our jobs, I think there's a good future ahead. But we're big dip, and it's gonna come back. Some maybe
It's
not as much as it was before, but it will come back.
it's interesting listening to someone describe Discovery Channel, which started out of a guy's garage,
Mhm.
where he's playing documentary stuff, has now become the largest media conglomerate in the world,
Right.
owning everything else, and they did it by going to reality TV, and it's like you got to be kidding me! How is it?
True. True. Yeah, I listen a lot to The Town, the podcast where really put a finger in Hollywood and the business, and yeah, things are changing. Everybody's scrambling, trying to understand what's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
But there is a future, and the AI situation, I'm not so afraid of anymore. I was really concerned at some point, but I feel like there's a couple of things. One is there's intense backlash against it. I
There
don't
is.
think most people want to really watch something that no humans have had a hand in doing. Uh, I know that there is going to be a feature coming out at some point in the near
Yep.
future that's all AI,
Yep.
but it's going to be a novelty. It's like seeing a bear riding a bicycle, right?
Hmm?
Wow, that is interesting. He can ride a bicycle, but how well can he ride? Can he race with humans? No, right? It's a novelty.
I
That's
the way
one
I
aspect.
the way I describe it is it's a novelty in that the first movie that comes out that's good and serious and looks good everybody's going to go see it, and it's going to be a big blockbuster hit. But everybody's going to then judge all the production companies are going to judge that and say that all AI is going to be that way. But no, the only reason it's going to be a big hit is because it was the first one that looked good. The second one that looks good is going to be about maybe half, and then it's just going to fall off. It's because what emotional connection do I have as a human to this? Because
And
in
there's
the end,
also, I always, I don't know if that's a normal saying or if I heard it somewhere, but it's the last 10% of the work takes 90% of the time. And that's kind of where we are. The AI in general, if you just have an aerial shot of a beach like we've seen, you can never tell. But the moment you put humans in movement, it doesn't look right. And that uncanny valley, to get rid of that, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to do it.
they make improvements all the time, but to
Yeah, but it's
me,
still not right.
yeah, they're making improvements to the wrong thing. And I've said all along, they would have been so much better off to go in from the bottom up and take care of the mundane tasks with AI and do it so well that it works, and then continue to go up. But what they're trying to do is go the top down. They're trying to be the director, the DP, the production designer, everything right up front, and you're showing the world that you can't do it right now is the problem.
Where AI is going to get a footing, and it already is. It's going to be as a tool, and that's just just compute power, make things easier. Especially, I just went to a post production seminar in LA about where they showed all these tools that they're putting in all the NLEs to clean sound, for example. And you take a track that's mixed and you can isolate everything. That is all fantastic. It makes it a lot easier for everybody to do their job, but it doesn't take their job away.
That's correct.
That's where it's at. That's where AI is going to excel and going to be used.
Elevate those who can't to a level that you can't. I can't do certain things, no matter how hard I try. But if I can get AI to do that one shot or those two shots for me, all of a sudden I can make something happen that I couldn't make happen before. But instead, they want to do it the other way. They want to do the whole thing.
Yeah, that like I said, technically, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to reproduce it as it needs to be without uncanny valley and the lashing out of people not wanting to watch something just created by a computer.
I say, even if they could do it 100% perfect and it could fool everyone, I think it will fall, because even though I don't know Tom Cruise personally, I know he's a real person.
Yeah.
And there's an emotion. Okay, I know that Tom Cruise does good, so the next movie he comes in, I'm going to look to see if I want to watch it. If it's an AI character, what connection are you going to have? And people say, well, cartoons are that way. No, cartoons have a voice, and we connect to that voice. That voice is a real person currently. When you disconnect everything from reality, what does my reality have to do with it? I don't want to waste time. I have no emotional connection for that. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. So I think our jobs per se are safe from that, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to change things around our jobs.
For sure. Yeah,
so we just have to be alert.
I think we have a lot more tightening of the britches a little bit, and I think we have a lot more adjustments to make before things will get to some type of order. Because if you allow technology to dictate everything, then you're no longer going to be in charge of anything. It'll just be someone clicks a button. And I've said, when you go to Netflix, you're literally just going to go, I want an astronaut movie with an alien, a bear, and a bicycle that's 2 hours long that I don't have to think about. And it just generates it on the fly to you. What's the point? Why would I watch it?
Exactly.
If you could get everything that you want, why would you watch it?
Exactly. That's where the joy of a movie that turns out good, because there is no light without dark. There's no good movies without bad movies. There's no good books without bad books. I just read a book that I just loved, but I've been through a few that it's okay, but that makes a huge difference. Then it's all about contrast, like I said before. It's there's no good without bad.
Yeah.
So if yeah, like I said, if AI can generate everything all the time, what's the point?
Yeah. Why would I bother? And at some point, why do I get up? Why do I want to walk over there and put the headset on to watch whatever I'm going to watch next?
Yeah,
Why bother? If it has no meaning, then it has no value.
exactly. I agree,
But
100%.
maybe it'll be the great opening, and everybody starts going outside and riding their bicycles again,
Not a
and
chance. Everybody's on
they're
their
all
phone.
like, "You know what? We should make a movie theater where we can go sit around together." And it was,
No way. What a
I
novelty.
mean, think about it this way: you go watch a comedy at home, you'll laugh, you'll giggle a little bit. If you watch that same comedy in a theater with everybody else that's laughing and giggling, the time that you have and the amount of laughing that you do will be tenfold.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah.
I mean, how rarely do people bring a slight tear to their eye at the end of a movie when they just watched it for the first time at home versus when you're in a theater and Top Gun 2 finishes and you're like, wow. I mean, there's a wow to everything real.
Yeah. I think we're safe for now.
Yeah, I feel
Until
that.
another
Till the
revolution
next thing, yeah.
thing.
Maybe
The
they'll
next.
bring 3D back.
Oh, I was so lucky that in my Steadicam career, I was able to dodge 3D and never did it. I never got asked to do it. Not that I turned it down, but for some reason, I was always either in a show or doing other things, and I never had to carry two cameras. Thankfully,
That's good though. Your back thanks you. Your knees thank you.
everything thanks me. Ugh. Although
What?
it's funny, the Martian was shot 3D, and but when I shot it at the Cape, I shot the rocket launches and all the the plates. They only wanted one camera. They didn't want
Uh,
to do
they just
3D
extrapolated
for
it. Yeah.
for the complexity of it. Post production supervisor came and we talked a bunch about that, and they just converted to 3D later.
Well, we've gone 3 hours. How you
No
feeling?
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I must have bored. There's bodies littered around the internet. People that got bored.
Well, this will be one of those too that they get to go back and pause and watch because there's some stuff there like that oneer. That oneer is really cool. That's people are
That
going to
was fun
really
to do. I
enjoy.
have to say, it was fun to conceptualize it, talk to the director, and get the lines in there, and get it all going, and commit it to zeros and ones. I was
Right.
going to
I mean,
commit it to
it's
film, but
it's
not anymore.
it's a what about 4 minute shot that could
Something like that. Yeah.
easily take an hour of a class to teach how do you conceptualize, how do you think about where I want to go next, what is logical, what is not logical, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what's jarring to the eyes, what's
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
And there was a little
uh,
fixing in post we had to do because when we turn all the way, we're looking towards the process trailer. Uh, uh, we see there's a little window in the cabin, and then we see through the windshield. We do see some crew people, so we had to fix that. But
no Starbucks cups though, you're
that was
safe
not
there.
that good. I think Starbucks was banned. That's
Everybody's learned.
There was none of that. No, no, no. No, there was no cleanup of anything in the movie. In that sense, no mistakes. The
That
cleanup
you're aware
were were,
of.
were known. Yeah, until everybody sees
I
the
mean,
movie and go, "Hey, man, what was that?
wait, what is this?
You didn't see
I mean,
that?"
everybody always picks something apart. It's always
It's
hilarious.
true. It's true.
Um, anything else that you wanted to cover that we didn't talk about, or
Uh, no, I think we went through my boring life
no? I
very
don't think it's
much.
that boring at all. I think it's kind of incredible. There's a lot of body of work there to see it. I'm gonna go. I swear I watched that Chasing Bullet. I feel like I watched it. And I can't, because I remember some of those shots before, and I'm not sure why I remember them. I got to go find it now.
Could you have seen it in my reel? They're in my reel.
Maybe, but man, I don't know. Where is it? Is it streaming? Is it anywhere?
I think it's VOD still.
Okay.
I think they left it on VOD World.
Interesting.
But it's out there. It's on Amazon Prime and all this stuff. But you gotta rent it.
Maybe. I swear I've seen that movie.
Yeah, man, that was 10 days. I when I signed up to do it, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? It's gonna be crazy. And it was actually chilled and cool. The actors were on the ball every time, and the crew was great. And we did it in less than 12 hours every single day. It was. I don't know how that works sometimes. It just things just click.
So, kind of a parting type question for you to, I guess, ponder a second and come up with multi-part. I'm trying to inventing this question as I go. What do you think is the biggest fundamental change over that has occurred in our industry that has affected you in a positive way, and then also in a negative way? We've done a lot of weird things, changeovers over the years, film to digital, and then now volume, and now AI, but also just going to 3D and not 3D. What has changed you in a positive way? What is something you didn't like in a negative way?
I one thing that I feel has changed from the days of film is the complexity of the technical side. I feel like we've gotten a lot more technical in things. Back then, you had tungsten, you had daylight, you had arc lights, and that kind of stuff. And once you knew that, and you knew the stock that you're shooting on, it was kind of the same all the time. Today, cameras are not changing as much as they have, but they're still changing. Lighting equipment is just crazy how you got to be on top of that. Learn pixel mapping and the types of engine on the LEDs. It's not just RGB anymore. It's not CMYK. It's
right. Now you got Blair, and you got
it's a alphabet soup
yep.
of colors in LEDs that you got to learn, and how you measure them against other things. I mean, I think it's gotten a lot more complex in the technical side of things, and at the same time makes things more complicated. So I guess a little negative, but I love knowing all these things, or I don't know all of it, but learning. I learn every day, and that I think retains a little bit of the magic of being a DP, because back in the day, you were the only one that knew for sure how it was going to look in the film when it was filmed. You would do your metering, you knew the ratio, and you knew what the light was coming in and how you were exposing over or underexposing, and you knew what was going to do to the film. And then nobody saw it. They saw that crappy video tap, and that was it. And it was not a surprise, but it was a revelation when they saw dailies. Nowadays, everybody sees the monitor. Everybody knows at least the ballpark where it's going to be. You can grade it differently, but now to get there, it's where the secret is becoming. Knowing what kind of lighting you want, what fixtures to use, what type of engines these fixtures have, and how you're gonna support them, and how that interacts with the camera, which camera you have, and the lens, and there's a lot more variables I feel nowadays than there used to be, and that still keeps the magic a little bit in your hands. And like I said, not in the future when people will see the picture, but how did you get that picture? That we're seeing right now. It's great, but how you got to know what to order and how to put it together and
right.
to point things. Uh, so I think that's a big change in our area of work uh, that that has changed a lot, and it continues changing. Lighting, I mean, I, I I'm still trying to figure out pixel mapping, and I'm going on a workshop here in a few days about that. I had the concept, but it's so much stuff. And then working with volumes, I've done a little volume work in cars and that kind of stuff, and that's also complicated. And it's a lot, very technical. We have become, there's the cinematographers podcast. I'm friends
Mhm.
with it, and I that was always the question they used to ask. They don't anymore. But what are you more, plumber or artist? Being, are you more artistic or more technical?
Right. Right.
And you gotta be a lot more plumber
Yeah.
nowadays to get to
Yeah.
the
You
part that you want to make.
yeah, the expectation is there for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Interesting. I was going to ask you about volume. Uh, you mentioned that. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a weird thing. We've gone from back earlier film where it was kind of simple lighting that was
Mhm.
being done. You're still lighting a lot, but now we've taken it way to the point where every little detail is thought on the lighting. Sometimes too much. Same thing when we would
And we
literally
gotta
use a
do it with
process.
less time now as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Oh, by the way, we're going to flip the camera around 180 degrees. And then, like, even like a process, you used to do process cars, and you get a real nice background. Then you're moving to plates. Now we're in volume walls, and I've seen a lot of stuff lately that you're like, that's volume. That's easy. That's done. And it feels overly simple, even though it's extremely complicated now. It's like it's weird.
Yeah, there's better volume work than others for sure, and that comes usually what separates is the lighting on your foreground. You can sometimes tell so much that it's not part of that background. I what has helped me with this is that I've done so much green screen work in my days trying to match. I just did funny. I just did a commercial for a cruise line, and but on they sell cruises to Alaska, to Northern Europe,
Well, that's right.
and the Caribbean, and they want to sell a little bit of everything in all the spots. So as we were cruising down the Caribbean, I had to do green screen matching all these places. There was a couple looking into this church in Europe, or looking at a glacier in Alaska, and I had to. And what I did was really study the plates that they already had and how the lighting is and what direction, the usual
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But you got to really apply that to your foreground lighting. And I've seen the composites, looks great. But it's so important to make those things work together. And some people forget that relationship. That's very important. Otherwise, things
And
won't match. And that is the same goes for the volume, and
I think
which you have the addition of some, you can't light in some directions because you're going to wash out the volume. So there's a lot of chop lighting in volume, which I don't like chop lighting a lot,
yeah.
and you
I
got to avoid that.
I feel like we're going to end up to a point. This is what I call my big dream. That volume walls, the individual LED pixels, are going to have a variable lens on them,
Hmm.
so that ultimately you can say, I don't need lighting in there. I can take this set of pixels over here, make them very, very narrow and intensity. So I've created a spotlight that basically off the LED wall, and then you just throw up some frames to kind of cool it down, whatever you need to do. I feel like that we're going to hit that. I
That could
think
be well,
it's
that's kind of
possible.
what pixel mapping and lighting is. It's
Yeah,
just a giant
you're
pixel.
creating the ambiance, yeah,
Yeah,
with the lighting.
yeah.
But I feel like we'll be able to create shadow or not. Well, But yeah, no, I guess you couldn't create shadow with it. But be able to create a hard light with an LED wall would be something I think can actually happen.
Yeah, yeah. There's an LED wall here in Denmark that the LED sections are small, so they're
Mhm.
designed so if you have a sunset look, you can place the sun in the exact spot of one, and you check it out, and you put a hard light
Oh,
through it,
pot.
and that's
Oh, interesting.
so cool. And
Okay.
you put a little diffusion, and it's the sunset with a hard
I
light
mean, that's smart.
hitting the actors. You flare the camera. That's also an idea, and
That is pretty smart, actually.
there's
I
actually I
like that too.
understand that the one in Copenhagen here is the first volume in the world that's 360. There's actually,
Mm.
and it can open to get vehicles in and out, but it is a 360 volume, so you can use the back part as lighting as well, and
Hmm.
you just add a little more, and it does have on top too, so
Flat, yeah.
it's volume
Wow.
everywhere.
You're in a sphere of
Yeah, that
where do you
you
put your
know that,
camera?
there's the volume is not good for everything, but it will be a
Mm-mm.
good solution for a lot of things. The problem is when they try to do everything in the volume, you start picking it out.
Well, and I feel like the more you try to push towards volume, the more they're going to say, "Why do I need to build a set in the volume and an actor? Why don't I just use AI or why don't I just use 3D?" I mean, yeah, that's not where I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's so many changes happening in the technical side of things and the political side of the business and the
Hmm.
labor side. There's and that's what happens. We're in constantly moving,
Yep.
constantly changing. The only constant is change, and it will always be like this. And it
Yeah.
is in our business too. We just have to adapt as well as we can and continue until if you don't feel like it's for you anymore. There's no shame in finding something else that
Right.
fulfills your heart. Um, I honestly, I gotta confess, I have a couple times wondered whether I should pursue a pilot career instead of film. But I do love it so much that it's just a momentary thing, that
Well,
goes through your mind, and I'm sure it goes
I
through a lot
mean,
of minds.
it
Change.
does. And the thing about that, I always say to people is you got to do what you love now because you can't really think of anything that AI and robots can't replace in some form or fashion. Robotic airplanes, I mean, theoretically, the planes are robotic now anyway.
Oh, they are. They are just uh,
Oh,
uh, just two pilots to make sure that they're not screwing up. They're just watching it, basically. But
that's weird.
but there's a lot
It
of
said live broadcast is ending in 5 seconds. I'm not sure about that.
oh we
I don't have a time limit. I'm not sure where that came from. I wonder if it was like maybe Twitter or something.
yeah, we passed the three
Because
hour mark. Oh my god!
yeah,
Thank you
it's like
guys to whoever is holding on here. Can't believe you guys are listening to me this long.
there's like there's 28 right now total. I mean, I think we're still going. Yeah, okay. I think it must have been just one of them ending. I have to figure out which one only goes 3 hours.
Oh man, that's terrible. That's too short.
Yeah, because I was like, that ain't happening. Don't you end my stuff. Let's see. That was live. That one's live. Oh, it's let's see. Twitter, Instagram is live. Facebook is live.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess maybe it just had some kind of fake timer because everything's live.
All right, just a warning. Are you guys
Right? It's like
sure you want to
you're
keep
going to.
going?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. Is there anything we didn't touch on that we should touch on, or? I know
No,
it's getting late there, really, really late.
it's 2 a.m.
Oh
It's all
gosh.
good, but I just came back from
I was
US.
thinking like
So I'm a
one.
little.
I was like,
I'm still in US time a little bit, so it's not too
oof.
bad. It's not too bad.
Um,
Tomorrow I'm taking
well,
my daughter to go see Wicked.
oh, fun. So you have how many kids?
Just one. She's
Just one?
16.
How? 16. Oh boy,
Yeah.
the fun years.
She's great, and she might be coming with me to one of these sets, being like an intern kind of thing. She wants you to see what it's all about. She found an extracurricular high school film school kind of thing, and she's doing it on her own. I didn't tell her, I'm not helping her with whatever it is. She did a little film the other day that was fantastic
Ha,
with her phone. So I'm proud of her, but
there
I'm
you
not,
go.
not pushing her. But I guess she's watching me and
That's
going,
really
"He's
cool.
having way too much fun," which I am.
I I did went to it was a while back that my 20th high school reunion, and I was looking around at the school, and they have like a full media department with like full news sets and all this stuff in the school. I'm like, where was this when I was in school? I wanted this so bad.
Yeah,
Well,
these are just getting better, and then they'll keep it getting better, and the
where
future
can
generations.
people, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Uh, my website is really easy. Is dandop.com, and I have all my reels there, and you can contact me
Nice.
and all my social links. So dandop, DANDOP.
I think I can put right there. Create a new banner. Let's see. www.dandop.com and create, and then play. Hey, there's your website.
Look at that! Look at that! That's it. I don't know how that domain was still available, but it was. So I
I
took it.
mean, you never know. Yeah, you can find the good ones, and somebody probably sat on that for 15 years, and they're like, I'm gonna kill the market when I'm gonna I got 6 letters, and you're like $30.
Yeah, I pay the whatever it costs for a regular domain, nothing
Yep.
extra. So that
Well,
works out. That's easy.
I truly appreciate your time, your 3
Oh,
plus
man.
hours, and coming and hanging out late at night for you, and sharing your body of work. I definitely look forward to. I saw somebody said that Chasing Bullet is on Tubi,
Oh,
so you
cool.
could stream it there. So I will go watch that now. So because I swear I've seen it, I want to make sure I did or didn't. And then looking forward to the Valiant one in January.
Yeah, January
But
31st. Everybody go. Help us out.
yeah,
We're
right.
still an
Make the
independent
movie.
movie, so we
Make
can
Dan make the next movies. We get the
exactly.
next big thing.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
definitely thank you for taking the time. Is there anything you want to say before?
Oh, dude, I appreciate your inviting me to do this. It's fun. Always chatting with a friend. So
Exactly.
it's great. And thank you everybody that came to watch me talk. I don't know how people have too much time in their hands to waste at listening to me.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, we're all learning all the time, and this is a perfect way to do it.
Yeah,
I
appreciate it.
appreciate
No,
it.
this has been fun. It's been great.
All right. Well, I'm going to drop you down real quick and close it out. Then I'll just say goodbye to you here in just a second. So let me figure out how to drop you down. Oh, what was that? Oh, you did.
I didn't do it.
Way to go with a bang. What was that?
I didn't do anything. I don't know why that happened. No, it's not
That
that.
was weird.
I thought
How
you
did
were
that
doing
happen?
something.
No.
I don't know where that came from. I didn't.
Way
do
to go out with a bang. That's
Totally.
kind of amazing.
Just the sound effect.
All right. Well, drop you in a minute here. So, thank you everyone for participating in here, and everyone who joined in and will be watching this in the future, because we leave all these out here forever, because that's how we could continue to learn and go back and pick up on stuff. But thank you, Dan, for your amazing, taking us through your amazing career and your life, and just a little bit about yourself, and maybe you'll pick up that guitar and play a little bit, a little more, and maybe we'll see some music from Dan in a music video from Dan, played in a movie shot by Dan. Maybe all of that. We'll see. But everyone, please remember, you might.
One thing. Yeah,
Oh,
here I
yes,
am. Hey,
good.
back. Hey, guys, we'll start a 3 hour
Fireworks.
fireworks. Yeah, now on the
how
other
that happened.
side. No, I gotta show you this. Then you talked about the music thing. I gotta show
Yeah.
you. Because I it was another bucket list thing. Uh, where the hell is it?
I want to know how you did the fireworks. I'm just totally.
I have no idea, dude. I don't
You
know.
made some kind of hand gesture, and it
It
just.
must have been the thumbs up.
Oh, oh! I thought it would ding again. I was like, "What? No, no, no!" It was your.
But
There we go.
here is I got to there was a band, a friend of mine, drummer from Brazil. He came to Florida. I shot a music video for the band, and then they invited me when they were shooting when they were playing in LA at the Roxy. I got to play with them on stage. That was a few years back. I was a few pounds heavier, but
Wow.
I got to go on stage. I'll go forward a little bit more here, and got to play with them, and that was super fun. And I recorded the video. Here I am banging my head,
Oh, look
playing.
at you! Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was super fun.
So that's the reason you got the long hair, so you can headbang.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's the law. It's the law of metal. If you don't have it, you're screwed. So yeah, that's Fabio, my friend drummer. I've known him for like 35 years, and so Roxy is also such a cool place. This guy is the best guitar player. I could never even come close to him, but I did good rhythm there. It was so much fun, and I was
That is cool.
that was before COVID, so I was really
Oh.
really rusty. But I played 3 songs with them on stage. That was super fun, right
That
there.
is cool.
That was great. So yeah, that was my parting
Your
thing I
little.
wanted to tell you since you're talking about music. That was cool. But yeah, you can listen to the album I did during COVID. It's called Collective with a K, and it has like a sand dune in the um, in the cover, and
Collective with a K.
it was like I
Got
think
it.
10 songs. I think it's a whole album I did during COVID.
Huh. I'll look that one up.
Yeah,
Very
it's
cool.
everywhere in the Spotify and Apple Music everywhere. But that was it. I don't want to see if it happens again. It didn't.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, what did you do?
Still a
Something.
mystery to me.
Wait, I
Uh,
don't that. I don't even see that anywhere. I just don't even know.
there you
Oh,
go.
you did it again. What?
It is the 2 thumbs up.
I,
Somehow.
not for me. Up.
I got it.
Well, like they say, some people got it, some people don't.
Oh, they're saying a Macs do that, so it's my Mac that's doing it, I guess.
It freaked me out the first time as well.
That's awesome.
Let's see.
Uh,
Max. Oh, Max do that. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
that must be my Mac.
Curmudge. So yeah, Curmudge. We were talking earlier about Alaska. So
Yeah.
Curmudgeon, he's a guy I met online on YouTube and then met him in Alaska. He lives. It's so remote in Alaska. The only way to get to his place is by train.
By train?
By
I thought
train.
you were going to say by airplane.
No. Well, you could get there by helicopter, and they would have to land. But literally, the only way is by train. And he's like, "Come out for the weekend." I'm like, "Okay." And you get on a train. They stop the train in the middle of nowhere, and you get off. And then when you want to go back in, the train comes. You flag them down, and they stop, and you get. I mean,
Like
it is
a
the most
bus.
amazing thing.
Bus train.
But absolutely beautiful place to live. I mean,
Bad.
just like
Are you kidding?
the
That was
best.
must be gorgeous.
It was awesome. All right, let me drop you out of here and close out real quick.
I'm
and-
sorry I stopped your goodbye there. I appreciate
But
it.
I have a Mac. Why
Everybody-
won't mine do it?
Bye, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone, remember to like and subscribe. Share this video to all of your friends. And you remember you can support the channel by being a channel member or all the fun things. And yeah, as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions. Bye, everybody. In the broadcast.